Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to Rise and Shine College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Welcome into the show, everybody. We are going to talk more and more about why Brent Venables had to bench his star quarterback. Now, before we get into this, let me welcome everybody into the show first, and we'll kind of talk as we go here through here. But Mars Jams, welcome in. Stink ass cat, Kyle DePuis. What else we got in here? Comanche Sooner, Caleb Stacy, Eric Reherd, Ben G, Stephen G, Eric Evans. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Robbie Martin, what's up, my man? Good to see all you guys. Back, I made it back to the homestead here, and so obviously we're kind of taking a look at. Oh, that's a little off the mark here, but hey, T Boomer, what's up, my man? Thank you for the super chat to start out the morning. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Obviously made it back after a long trip this weekend. Lots of stuff been going on over the weekend, and lots of high emotions following that. Tough loss, I think, obviously for most of us. You know, we feel like this is a pretty tough loss for OU. But I think a lot of things have kind of come. I know in my mind, driving back from, it's a good 6.5, 7 hours from where I am. So it was a lot of time to think. And of course, stopped at old Bucky's yesterday and decided to pop in and talk to everybody. And there's been a lot of stuff said and done during that time. And actually something that was said during the show, it kind of triggered something I thought about. And it was that Brent Venables making this decision to bench Jackson Arnold. We'll talk about the whys and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest with you, it was probably, hey, Kimberly K, I'm glad you're here. I feel like it probably was the biggest decision that he's made and really signaled to me that Coach V is not just a defensive coordinator masquerading as a head coach. He's making head coach decisions that affect this team long-term, affects his culture that he's building there. And he had to be willing to make this decision. I think it was brought up in the chat yesterday during the show. And I think that I think it was a fair thing to say. It is what it is. And I would just tell you that, when you start looking at some of this, I mean, guys, when you look at Jackson Arnold's performance, that's the main thing here. He was 7-16, 54 yards, 46% completion percentage, had the 3 turnovers, and including obviously that backwards lateral pass that probably never should have happened. It was a critical mistake. Negative 21 rushing yards, and Oklahoma, while he was in, had just 76 total yards on 33 plays and resulting in just like 3 points. Daniel Looney, I'm going to read your super chat here, but nobody here is hating, just so you understand. Stop hating, wish Jackson the best. Let's move on and try to get healthy. I agree that I would definitely agree with all of this except for those first 2 words, because nobody here on this program hates anybody that's an Oklahoma Sooner. And there's more to this than just Jackson Arnold, to be quite honest with you. There's more to it than that. So, I'm just going to let you know that I would tell you that nobody here hates any of the Oklahoma players. I think that there's a lot of blame that can go around for all of this. But in the end, this is a performance-based business program, whatever you want to call it. It's performance-based. His performance is not up to the standard, particularly when you have a defense that kept you in that game, played way well enough for you to win that game if you just have a serviceable offense. A serviceable offense. I mean, if you anyway. When was this morning? Is this all happening like over the last few hours, whatever, since last night, some point? Because that's not what he said after the game was over with. He said he told Seth Littrell, and Littrell told Jackson that they were going to go the other way. I don't think it was just no. That's not that's not what he said, Stephen G. That's not what he said. No, it's not. Car is more fashionable. Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna let everybody know, guys. I'm not gonna put up with a bunch of crazy crap in here today. Just so you understand. This is not a time. I'm gonna have Coach Ricks on here in a little bit. We're gonna have Big Mike Boganowski on here as well. In fact, I need to send his invite for when he gets back in there. I'll send that to him right now, real quick, before I forget and get to talking. Hold on. But nobody's in here to either give Jackson a hard time. I don't believe, as I said the last couple of days, I don't really think that all of this is Jackson's fault any more than it is anybody else's. But if you're wanting to preserve the culture if you're Brent Venables and you are trying to preserve the culture that you're establishing of it being all about the team above anything else, and being grown and look, working for what you get. You got to get. How many times you heard it? You got to pay for what you get. You got to earn it. No free passes in this game. And that includes for 5-star quarterbacks. And look, to be honest with you guys, this goes on everywhere, all over the country. And you remember, you brought up Jalen Hurts. Let's just say Jalen Hurts lost his starting position in the national championship game, then hung around for another year and ended up being a critical reason why they got back to that national championship game the year after that. The bottom line is that there's not a whole lot that you can really say about it other than, sometimes it just doesn't work out very well. There's a lot of reasons I think that Jackson Arnold probably ended up, in the position that he ended up in. And Kim, and I agree with this. Hawkins won the job hands down, but he will also be running for his life. Okay, fine. For the time being, that may be the case. And I'll tell you this, he won the job hands down. You guys know, if you've watched this show at all, I've been one of Jackson Arnold's biggest apologists while people were calling for him to lose the job after the Temple game. And he had 4 touchdowns in that one. The hope was that he was going to get better, improve, and do the things that he needed to do. But if you don't make the call that Coach Venables makes in that game to pull him out, particularly after what he talked about it in the actual press conference, and it wasn't Seth Littrell's call. It was his call. Seth Littrell made it known to Jackson. He said, no, I didn't tell him about it. I told Coach Littrell we were going the other way, and he let him know. So that's what actually was said. Right? No worries. I was just letting you know. We need to make sure that let's get it all right before we do that because, great defensive performance. Does BV get a mulligan this season? No, nobody gets a mulligan. This is why it had to happen. This is why it had to happen. I'm going to jump into some of this stuff. If I don't get to your comments, I know there's a lot of comments. We already got a lot of people in here as well. If I don't get to your comment right away, we'll get a time to get around to it. Coach Ricks will be in here in a few minutes, but I want to kind of run through some of this stuff that I've been thinking about. I've even written a column about it. I'm going to put the finishing touches on that at the end after I'm done here, and we'll get that out for everybody who wants to take a look at what we're talking about. But the truth is, here's the deal. You didn't really have any choice if you're Brent Venables. You can call it a bold move, but it was the only move to make. And had he not been willing to do so, then it tells you a lot more. And I said something on this yesterday, and there's been a couple of people that have been in there saying, no, we need to give him another shot, give him another shot. He'll get another shot if there's a reason to give him another shot. But at the moment, after what you saw, and I went back and watched the game, I've seen it 2 other times since, driving back, or pieces of it at least 2 other times since yesterday. And I came away even more impressed with Michael Hawkins than I was previous to that. This is a kid that I talked about during his high school senior season that I thought would possibly challenge for the job right away. And I've said a number of times, and actually legend Mike the Legend had reminded me of this, that I said, if he ever gets an opportunity, Jackson Arnold may not ever get the job back if he were to get hurt or something like that. You can go back and look. It has been something that's been said. Now, that being said, I've also been a big apologist of Jackson Arnold, and I do believe you have to give somebody time. You have to give them enough time to learn and make their mistakes. And look, make no mistake, Michael Hawkins is going to go through his own growing pains here. But in the end, at some point, you have to realize that, this was beyond growing pains. These were, things that you don't expect. Coach Venables talked about it in the press conference of saying, look, some of these things, it's just stuff that you never see him do that. And you can tell that something else is going on there. And here's the conclusion that I've kind of come to is that and you kind of heard Teddy Lehman talking about this. It looked like he allowed this to get into his head, the things that were being said about him after the bowl game, about the turnovers, and he got too careful. He was too afraid to make that throw. And then apparently during the week when they were talking to him about on the RPO, don't be afraid to pull it out of their belly a little bit more and throw the pass if it's there. And he took that as to mean do it every time, because if you go back and look at some of these, if you go back and look at the play in question that got him benched when he threw the backwards lateral that ended up being a fumble, you heard Venables in the press conference. What did he say? The read is to run that every time. I'm not even sure that Reagan's expected the ball to head his way. I don't think he did, because it never happens. He certainly didn't, react to it as if he knew the ball was headed his way. In the end, we don't have to go too far into that, but it's not necessarily a permanent statement, but a decision by him. I feel like this is where Coach Venables showed that he is not just a DC that's masquerading as a head coach at this point. And from here is where you can move forward. And this is why I say, Benji, no, there's no such thing as a mulligan at the University of Oklahoma. No such thing. Because, and I would think as a Texas fan, you would understand that, because there's no such thing as a mulligan at the University of Texas either, even though I know you guys wish you could have a few. The worry is from people, I think, well, is this going to shake Jackson's confidence? It could. I think his confidence has been shook. But having a seat right here for and whatever ends up happening could also help him to reset, and wherever he lands, or even if he stays or whatever, which I think is probably far-fetched to, I said that before. In this day and age of college football, I would be surprised if he did. But if he does the right thing and remains ready to go as a backup, great. That'll tell you a lot about him if he can do that, because you never know when you may need him. I think right now you heard Gabe Eichert say maybe they make him the number 3 this week and let him kind of reset himself. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen there. And I'm not telling you that I think that Casey's better, but I think that Casey's in a better head place right now, being that this is his 7th year of college football. I can see that. I do think that he's redeemable when it comes to that stuff. But the point I wanted to make, and this is the biggest thing, it was very essential for Coach V to prioritize the team's success over Jackson Arnold's development right now. Because if you look at what you got out of that defense the other day, you had a couple of mistakes that led to their scores, right? On the defensive side, really, you could nitpick at it if you want to. Billy Bowman got his hand caught in the cookie jar whenever they gave up that long touchdown there, that long TD pass. He was looking in the backfield when he should have been backing off. And then, you got a guy ran right behind him. Once you get the ball to that kid, he's gone. Right? Aside from that, nobody was doing anything. Nobody was doing anything. I'll be right with you, Coach Ricks. They were able to rattle Nico. They were able to strip sack him twice. Both times it was turned back over within one. On the very first play, it was turned back over to Tennessee. The second one, of course, the lateral, of course, led to a touchdown that made it 19-3. The move had to be made. Now, whether or not you have to necessarily keep him as the starter, here's the reason I would tell you that you do. What I'm saying is, and this, I'll bring in Coach Ricks after this. My idea is that if you don't do this, then maybe you're not cut out to be a head coach, because you got to make tough decisions like this. I would tell you that he's seen this firsthand. Coach Venables has at Clemson with Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence. They knew they had to make the change. I believe it was right at 4 games in, too. They had to make that change because they knew the best chance for them to win it all was Trevor Lawrence. If you're going to protect your culture at all costs, and if your culture is, and your calling card is that it's all about the team, it's all about the team, it's all about everything that we can do together, then you cannot ever sway from that. What you say is what you mean. If the defensive guys, if you can start a freshman over a senior on defense, you got to be able to do the same thing when it comes to quarterback or anything else on your offense. And for you guys that have listened to me, you know that I've said many times in the past that I believe there's a few things that Coach V needs to do to become more of a head coach. And part of that was being more decisive and getting your hands a little dirtier on the offensive side of the ball. This move right here was what he had to do. And if he weren't to stick with this, my opinions about Coach V would change. He made the decision. You got to stick with it. I don't think there's any way that you go back on it. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Coach Ricks. Welcome into the show, Coach.
What's going on, bud?
How you doing, man?
A little bit better than today. A little bit better. How's everything going your way?
It's going well. It's going well. Let's see what we're talking about here. I don't know if you could hear everything I was saying right just there. So essentially, you know where I'm going with it and stuff. And I think that I don't know, hear what we're talking about here.
To piggyback on what you just said, Coach B is so loyal to his players and coaches, man, that sometimes, man, you don't want to be the bad guy, but being the bad guy is sometimes something that you have to do in order to save the program and point it in the right direction. I know it killed him to pull Jackson, but he had to, or that game would have got ugly. I mean, the defense did everything it could to keep that game close, and there was no identity on the offense side of the ball.
Coach, let me just ask you a question in that realm of it. The way that I wanted to ask you as a coach, as a head coach that's been in situations where you've probably been in this situation.
Yep.
When you have a defense that is carrying you the way that this one was, and you obviously we knew that was the most important thing for them to do coming in was to get this defense at least competitive. You need an offense to go with it, but he's done his job as far as that's concerned, the recruiting, all that other stuff. But and what he recruits on is it's a team, right?
Yeah.
And if you're recruiting on telling all these players that it's not that we want to do everything for the collective good of this locker room, and then you go through that first half and really the first few games of the year, even the first 3 games, there's been a lot of questions about Jackson. I've been one of the bigger apologists for Jackson Arnold. I know you've kind of done the same thing. In the end, I would say that if you don't make this choice, what message are you sending to your team when you've been telling them it's team? What are you saying to your defense that's been carrying your ass?
You're really telling your team and everything, man, that that everything flows and goes through Jackson. And you don't want to send that message that this guy is the only thing that makes this engine in this car go. It's hard, man, because at the high school level and college level, it's such a different animal, but it's the same thing. Is that you still have loyalty to 85 guys versus just one guy. You have a whole plethora of guys that are dependent on you that came back for you for their senior year. They could have went to the league. So now you really have to hit this right, because now you're telling those guys that came back that thank you for coming back, but this is what we're going to do. You can't do that. So how many times have we heard that OU has a great offense but no defense?
Yeah.
All Lincoln Riley's time he was here. Now we have a damn elite defense. I don't care what nobody's saying. And now the offense is stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
So first you had a good offense, no defense. Now you got a damn good defense and no offense. So what's next? Both.
You got to have it all, man. You got to do everything well, right?
Yeah, it's coming, but us OU fans, and I'm gonna say it for me as a coach and everything, I'll look at things a little bit different. I'll look at things and says time is of the essence. We can sit here and say, oh, well, we got to the playoff this year. You know how hard it is to get back there next year, because it's not promised. Injuries can happen, things can happen that you might not get back there. This defense showed its ass Saturday, to where I'm still having fans and still having players and coaches and parents say, man, y'all showed y'all's ass. The offense, we didn't know it was that bad. we didn't know it was that bad. I'm being honest. I didn't know it was that bad, but you could at least call basic
I don't
plays.
think it had shown itself that it was that bad. You weren't up against teams that could stop you I mean, listen, I would tell you that, you know, for any Tennessee fans that might be in here, because they've certainly been trolling me since, you know, the game.
Yeah.
I underestimated how good defense was. Whoa, I just lost Coach Ricks. He'll pop right back in. I underestimated how good that defense was. But Oklahoma was every bit as good on that side of it. At some point, you have to look at it and realize that going into the half, and I took a picture on the phone because I was running out of power very quickly. And not that, you know, I could get anything out from the game itself, because it's impossible to get even like a text message out. But I took a picture of the scoreboard when it was talking about those stats that I was telling you about. I mean, you look at it and it's literally, as I said, he had what? He was 7-16. He's showing 46%. I think it was 46.4%. They had 76 total yards. Yeah. And going back and looking at it, it was on 33 plays. His QB rating was 1 for the game. 1. Minus 21 rushing yards. It was almost as if whatever decision he was making in the RPO was the opposite of the right one. He was that in his own head. Coach Ricks, as soon as you want to pop back in, let me know. I didn't kick you. But there he is. Lost you there for a second, man. What happened?
I don't know. Internet just went down.
Okay.
Everything's
no worries.
down.
Yeah, it went right away from me, so I'm not sure on this one. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna stay out of the comments for a minute. You guys, mods, do your job, please. Please do your job. If it's getting crazy, let's handle that for me, would you?
Yeah.
All right. So as I was saying, when you look at you're saying the defense is doing its thing. They had, as I said, they had 2 strip sacks.
Yep.
Both times you turn the ball right back over. The second time was as egregious as it gets. Because if you go back and look at it, you can slow it down before, and you see when he pulls that ball out, Javonte had nothing but running room. I mean, the numbers tell you what to do in the RPO.
Yeah.
The numbers tell you what to do. I mean, and you look at that pre-snap. This is a pre-snap read that you make on the RPO. So he had to have done, and I mean, to me, it feels like he was making the exact. I think he's been so in his head, and I think it goes back to Teddy Lehman was saying it on their show yesterday. It goes all the way back to the bowl game. He got to listening and hearing what everybody was saying about you got to be better, you got to be better, you got to be better. And sometimes the light is just too bright for some people. Pressure either makes diamonds or bursts pipes. We know that. You've seen that as a coach. I know you have. Sometimes it just is what it is. Some guys cannot handle pressure. They're great practice players. They suck in the game.
Exactly. I live by them all because there are some players that love the limelight and there's some that don't. And the ones that don't seem somehow, some way in practice seem to overshadow the ones that play great in ball games. So it just bothers me, man, that these guys came back, man, and we haven't had a full team yet. We haven't had a full team yet, but injuries are the part of the game. So everybody's dealing with injuries.
Well, I think to your point, you know, you got Danny Stutzman who came back. I mean, he was going to be a second-day draft pick, right? which is going to get him paid a lot of money. Now, can he come back and make himself for sure a second day or first day even draft pick? Yes, he can. Billy Bowman probably improved his situation, but he could have went to the league as well. You know, there was guys that you didn't think were probably going to get drafted at all last year that did from this Oklahoma team, and it wasn't as loaded up, particularly on the defensive side, as this one is. But I would just tell you that when you got guys like that coming back, if you don't make the decision that he made, you're telling them that, hey, look, I said this one day before. There was a guy that said something in one of the videos that goes, I don't see them winning the conference and definitely don't see them winning the national championship. So why does any of this matter? Why the fuck does it matters to Danny Stutzman? It matters to Billy Bowman.
Oh, yeah.
It matters to seniors that are here and could have left. It matters to the seniors that this may be their last season to play football, because not 1% of those guys make it to the NFL. 1% of college football players make it to the NFL. It matters. That's why, Benji, you asked, no mulligans. I understand what you were saying, that it was more than just that. No mulligans. There's no such thing as a mulligan at the University of Oklahoma. There just isn't. And if you don't make the decision that Coach Venables made, then your signal is that everything that you told us in recruiting to get us here is bullshit.
Yep.
Because to you, it was more important, and I hate to beat this dead horse, but who was more important, USC last year or Caleb Williams? Because nobody ever got a hold of Caleb Williams and his freelancing and all that shit. That you saw that again yesterday in the Bears game.
Yep. Yeah.
Nobody got a hold of it. USCJ said, hey, he was changing the play himself. He was making the decision to do, okay, well, if you know how you fix that? You pull him the hell out. I don't give a shit if you won the Heisman or not. It's got to be about your football team, not about your player. Because if you say that everybody on the team is just as important as everybody on the team, then you don't make the choices, again, in a performance-based business, damn, lost him again, then you're screwed. Sooner Cowboys. That gets you a timeout. It's an elite defense. It's an elite defense. $55 touchdowns, 3 turnovers last year for Michael Hawkins in high school. That's correct, Marsh James. I was going to bring that up too. I don't know what's going on with Coach Ricks. Hopefully we get him back. We'll also be make sure that you guys get in there and hit that like button. So important for us as content creators that you do that. It's, that's the easy, free way to help us as content creators. Jump in there, hit that like button. Right now, we have 115 people in the chat. We've had as many as, it's been over already 350 people in here, and we have 27 likes. Get the likes up, folks. Even if you don't like it, get the likes up. What's up there, C. Walt? What's up there, Shoddy? You guys in here? Welcome in, welcome in. What was the question? All right, here's what I'm going to tell you about that, and I'm going to stay off. I'm going to get off of this because that's not what this entire thing is about. I'm going to talk to you about Jackson Arnold, Michael Hawkins. Why is the defense elite? You guys keep talking about what they're ranked right now at this current time. And I would tell you that you can do that, but if you're going to compare Georgia's defense and who they've went up against, yeah, they went up against Clemson. Clemson's done very well against Appalachian State and now NC State that we know isn't very good. but they didn't do anything against you guys. I get that. What in the hell has Kentucky done but get their ass kicked by South Carolina? Who played what, Old Dominion before that? These first 2, 3, whatever games, it's who you play. It's all judging just based on stats only, which is not the end all be all. And total defense, I would tell you, is like the worst stat to like go by. You can cherry pick whatever little stat you want to cherry pick with, but if you can literally watch that football game the other night, and I would question whether you did or not, if you're going to tell me that that's not an elite defense. It shut down. Tennessee was the best running game in all of college football last year. It's been the best running game by far this season. Although you can say whatever you want to say about who they played so far. In the end, why is that defense elite? Because they shut down the number one offense in the country to 22 points that most of it was not even on the defense. 13 that you could really say, okay, that goes on the defense. To me, I really only give them that one pass. That was why it happened. At some point, context has to matter, folks. Shoddy, Coach I, context has to fucking matter here.
Yeah.
They gave up one big play. That means they're not elite. Okay. If that's you can have your opinion on what you think is and isn't elite. I'm going to tell you that 2.9 yards per rush. They had 50 rushes.
52.
They've been averaging 300 rush yards a game, and they kept them at what? Under 200, 150 yards. And that was on 50 rushes. So it is what it is.
Cybercore, no, he wasn't. He didn't call off the dogs. He was trying to run the score up. He wasn't calling off the dogs.
That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard too.
He was trying to run the score up.
No, they didn't. He was calling draws on 3rd and long.
He was pissed when they got hurt because he wanted to run. He wanted to, stay on the court.
I can tell you this on the score, the last scoring drive, he had freaking starters in and 8 guys in the box trying to stop Michael Hawkins.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me he was calling off the 8 guys in the box? I've heard people saying, oh, they went into a prevent. Bullshit. No, they didn't.
No,
they didn't.
Prevent means that you only going to have 3 or 4 down D linemen. They had everybody still in the box. Everybody's still in the box. They were still blitzing in the 4th quarter. So
thanks, Gridiron.
At the end of the day, man, I've learned that the defense is where it needs to be for us to compete in the SEC. We just gotta. I mean, this will be the 2nd week that we've had the same lineup. This will be the first time that we've had the same lineup for 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So we can see what the measuring stick is this coming week, because now everybody, whether practice all last week, their practice all this week, it just sucks, man, that the offense is struggling the way that it is struggling, and we don't have everyone that we need to have. And that's what sucks, is because this was the year I felt like Oklahoma could come into the SEC and really compete on the offensive side of the ball, and it's still one loss. I mean, we're thinking that Oklahoma is like Florida or Florida State with 2 and 3 losses, and they're not. It's one loss, but the way they lost, this game could have been won. This game could have been won with just basic offensive calling plays.
Just not turning over the ball inside the 5-yard line right after you got a turnover from your defense, and not giving them the ball at the end of the half. Here's where I was getting at is, why did he have to come out? Why did it have to happen? Well, and I'm not going to blame any of this on the defense, because they showed up and showed out. It's on the screen right here. 9 tackles for loss, 2 strip sacks during that time. Okay. And here's the other, you had this stat up the other night, and I went back and confirmed it. Out of 15 possessions, Tennessee went 3 and out 9 times.
Yeah.
9 times for the number 1 offense in the country, the number 1 rushing team for the past 2 seasons.
Yeah. And no one else is going to, I mean, there's only 2 other offenses that OU's going to face that can even replica what Tennessee did, and that's Ole Miss and Alabama.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 teams remaining. Now, Texas, yeah, but Oklahoma knows how to play Texas. And Sark is going to have to draw up trick plays again in order to keep from going 3 and out. And who's to say when Ewers come back if he's going to be battle tested for having 3 weeks off? I mean, I don't know, man. Like I said, we're in a real crazy spot right now because the offensive line, I'm pretty sure it will get better, but how fast will it get better?
You guys gonna just make me do all this for, you know, why do I have mods again? What's going on? What's up there, Sheila Smith? Good to see you. Yeah, Texas game's always lit. It's gonna be funny, especially when Oklahoma wins the game.
Man, look, I'm telling people, man, from what I saw Saturday, and we still got some guys on defense that haven't really played yet. You got some guys on offense that haven't really played yet. So I don't know, man. I really don't know. I've watched that game 3 or 4 times now, man, trying to find little bitty inconsistent things that can help OU and what I can say to put on the podcast and say, you know what, this is what it's going to take, or this is what I think. After looking at that video, man, if we decide to go with Hawkins, which we should, it really is going to open up the playbook a little bit more. It's because now you really have nothing to lose. Jackson came in with all this hype, and Hawkins was waiting to come on the field. Now that he's in the ball game, some quarterbacks come in, man, and they have this thing about, I have nothing else to lose, all things to gain. So go out and play the game. Go out and play the game. That's it. Because that's what Caleb did when he came in after Spencer.
Sure.
He was just like, come in and just play my game. And when you do that, man, things tend to work in your favor. And I think the offensive line, and once the ball starts being moved and we're starting to score points, that builds confidence on the offensive side. I think, to be honest, Seth held back Saturday and calling some plays. He wanted to try to keep it basic to where Jackson Arnold wouldn't turn the ball over no more.
All right, yeah. And so let me ask you this too, because I got to tell you, I think that Teddy was probably absolutely right on the Oklahoma breakdown last night when he said that Joe John and Seth are on an 8-game job interview right now.
Yeah.
Because and he was very, and listen, everybody on that show played Oklahoma football. And they don't like to kill each other. They don't. But they keep it real. They keep it real on that show. Why do we keep it real here? Because you have to. Look, I'm going to sit here and tell you that, as I said, I've been one of the biggest apologists for Jackson Arnold, but there's no way that you can watch that football game and watch what we saw out of Michael Hawkins at the end, or what we saw out of that defense for the entirety of the game, and then tell me that the right thing to do is to put Jackson Arnold back in the game because you don't want to lose him in case he figures it out at some point.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell that you can do that. You can't do it. I understand that it bothers people that, you know, we get so star crazy that we worry about that kind of shit. Because Michael Hawkins comes in as a high 3-star, 4-star, whatever, depends on which ranking you're looking at. The guy is a dog. He made throws that Jackson wasn't making. He made plays that Jackson can't make when it comes to his feet. And when you have an offensive line that is not doing its job, as we just saw from Bama Talk with John and Jonathan Lewis, man, thank you. That's a great call. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. Can it get better? Yes, it can. I think that they've got the guys available, at least that over the next few weeks, you should see it get better. And I would also tell you that I don't think that everybody in the SEC has a defensive line like what we saw Saturday. In fact, I don't know that anybody in the SEC has a defensive line like the one we saw Saturday, including Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Including Georgia.
They came in with the game plan, man, of everybody heard the ramblings about the offensive line. So they came in and they said, we're going to see how true that is. And they came in with a game plan to where we're going to blitz outside and blitz in the A gap to see what he's going to do. And when you blitz on the outsides and your right tackles are making the defensive guy go outside, you can't scramble to the left or right. And when you have a blitz in the A and B gap, you can't move up. So now you're having to 5-yard curls is your Achilles. You just nickel and dime their ass down the field. But we're looking for the big plays. We're looking for plays that take 4 and 5 seconds to develop. That's not enough time when you have a team blitzing you all the time. Not once the whole game did I see a screen pass. Not one time.
Mm-hmm.
They were blitzing and blitzing and blitzing, and not once was let the guys just go and you throw a little dump pass and you get 10, 15 yards because you have nobody on the linebacker stage. Everybody else is going deep. It's just the play calling was not where it needed to be. So yes, you're absolutely right. These guys are on 8-game, they're applying for a job right now because if they don't get this right in 8 games,
should be, for fuck's sake. When you listen to what we heard, and I agree, the play calls in certain situations have been god awful. We were talking about that the other night. God awful.
Yeah.
No rhyme or reason to it.
Your offensive line is struggling, so you have to have a game plan to counter that. You know what they're going to do. Houston did it. Tulane did it. So you have 2 teams back to back do it. You think that Tennessee wasn't going to do it?
It works. Yeah, they put
you think
it on
Tennessee
film
can come in there and say, "Hey, we got a blueprint to how to make this work," and we didn't counter what they were going to throw at us, and that's what bothers me is that the first 3 games is what you do to get ready for the 4th game. Is if we're saying that because we already knew that Tulane, Temple, and Houston were not going to really beat us. Yes, give us a game. Yes, so we can structure some things and get things ready for Tennessee. We always said that. The damn game comes and you still have no damn game plan to how you're going to counter the blitzing in the A and B gap and the outside blitzes. So now, what do you think will happen Saturday when Auburn plays us? Same damn thing.
You're going to get the same thing. And look, and I'm not just saying this because of his feet. Listen, he was able to avoid a lot of the things that we were seeing that it's taken Jackson down, right? I mean, he was able to avoid that and make a play out of it, or at least have an opportunity. And he never put the ball in harm's way. He put himself in harm's way twice.
Yeah.
You start talking about what he is, take a look at, 4-star, 3-star, 4-star freshman quarterback. He's definitely known for his athleticism. His leadership is instrumental. He was instrumental in Devon Mitchell ending up at Oklahoma as well. I think that may be I think that may have been what got Joe John the co-assistant coordinator title or whatever you want to call it, because of that recruitment. But he ought to be thanking Michael Hawkins for that, because that was all about them having played together at Allen in his junior year. Now, he left Allen, went to Frisco Emerson because of some pretty crazy stuff, from what I understand, some racist bullshit that was going on around that school. Chad had Chad, what's his nuts, had something to do with all that too, because he was the head coach there at Allen. I don't know exactly what all was going on. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I do, but I can tell you it was time for him to go. And he goes to a place, Frisco Emerson, that was in its 4th season in existence. It's unheard of to do what they did, to go to the semifinal round of Texas 5A and go down to the wire with the defending state champion, who went on to win it, goes down to the wire. They lose a close game. The only position that Emerson had an advantage on was at quarterback. And I would say his brother Malik is pretty damn good too. But advantage was absolutely always going to be for South Oak Cliff. Emerson had basically, it was the Michael Hawkins show. And we saw that a lot. And you look at what his stats were. I'll say it 55 total touchdowns, 3 turnovers on the season.
Wow. Man,
Jaden Daniels,
I think it's going to
stuff from last year, right? The bottom line is he was completely and terribly underrated, which I've said this a bunch about the Oklahoma recruiting class of this past season a ton. This is another guy, Devon Mitchell. We just brought him up. If he was still in the 25 class, which is where he would have been, he was a top 5 overall recruit in this class. They dropped him when he reclassified to 24. He dropped in some services out of the top 100 altogether. 247, I believe, still had him in the top 100. On3 had him, I think, just outside of the top 100. So still a 4-star, but what does that do to your recruiting ranking if he's a 5-star like he should be? And Michael Hawkins is actually higher ranked, as far as his overall rating was concerned. Because we saw, I thought it was kind of funny that Herbie on the stream or on the broadcast was acting like it was just going to turn into a running game at that point.
Yeah.
He didn't know that he could throw the ball until he started throwing bullets across the middle and fitting it into windows.
Here's the thing, Jason. How many times do you think Michael Hawkins had practice with the ones last week? He probably didn't. So he might have threw. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So now that you have Michael Hawkins going forward, working with the ones all this week, there's going to be a different. I don't want to say a different style of play. There's going to be a sense of urgency. I'm going to use that word, sense of urgency and everything to call plays that fit around Michael Hawkins. That's going to benefit those receivers, because now you have a mobile quarterback that you can't let get out of pocket, because he is more dangerous than the one that you had from the start. So now, and I'm just hoping that Seth watched last week's footage, is that Auburn's going to come in and blitz you in the A and B gap, and they're going to have an outside containment and everything, so you can't roll outside.
I think that may be the one place that Auburn's pretty decent in is on the defensive line too, right?
Yeah, this is what I saw 4 or 5 times. We have a spread formation with 2 running backs in the back. So you either have 2 receivers up top, you have the X and Y up top, or the Z down at the bottom. And when you do that, you notice that the guy that's guarding the slant, the inside slant, he is 10, 15 yards off the ball. I don't understand why we don't just do a quick hit and get 4 or 5 yards every single time. It's just sometimes we get so complacent and we overthink a lot of shit. Let's just say it like that. We overthink a lot of things when we call these plays in college. Everybody wants the big plays. Everybody wants the splashy plays. Take the damn 5 and 6 yard curls all the way down the field. It makes your life that much easier, and it gets you into a rotation to where you can call other things and be more effective. I just don't get why we don't do that. So we'll see.
Sorry about that. Stacker, I'm going to say the same thing that I just got done saying to Shawty. And I said this yesterday too. We can sit here and harp on every little stat 3 weeks into the season, 4 weeks now into the season. And when nobody's played the same type of schedule, the same type of players, whatever, we can do that all you want to. Tell me what the biggest difference is. let me ask you a question. If you're going to go back to those stats, whatever that you just brought up, right? '28th in total defense, 27th in rush defense, 51st pass defense. Tell me what the difference is in 27 and number 10 or number 5 even. But don't just give me the ranking. Tell me what the difference is, because I bet you inside of 4 games, which these are skewed stats this early in the season. Number one, I would say it's skewed no matter how you look at it. And I was saying the same thing about Tennessee coming into the game, that it's kind of skewed stats, that they lit it up and had 1,000 rushing yards because, first off, they went up against Kent State that's trash. You know?
I think we shouldn't have stats.
Which is trash. But I would also say that they're pretty good because they've been really good at the run defense. And at running the football, I'm sorry, at rushing the ball. That's what they have been. You guys talked about that. We know that. You have a guy that already has 10 damn touchdowns. And you can, if you're just going to go in there and look at the stat alone by itself and on the face of it and say, this is truth right here, period, done. Okay. You can do that if you want to. And that's fine. I would tell you to go watch the fucking football game.
Yeah.
Go watch the damn football game. Don't tell me it's not an elite defense. Go watch the fucking game.
Dude, if you say that defense ain't elite, you smoking something, and I want some of it. Because this is what I say, Jason. I don't think there should be stats until you get to your meat and potatoes schedule.
Let me ask you, hold
because
on.
you can sit there.
But let me just say this real quick. I'll tell you a stat that really looks good to me. 2.9 yards per rush. You're saying that was what? I don't know what he said it was. Against that rushing offense that was together, they're putting up somewhere around 7 yards per attempt coming in. Last year, they led the country. And they lead with that to keep them at 2.9, which actually upped Oklahoma's average from the 2.2 it was the week before. I'm telling you that it doesn't make a shit what's going on in the first 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to matter as we go through the SEC season. But let me just say this. When you go up against that offense that does that, and out of 15 offensive possessions, they went 3 and out 9 fucking times. Tell me that's not an elite defense. What? Because they gave up one big play for a touchdown? And Georgia played Kentucky that don't score on my mom. What are we fucking talking about?
It's all subjective, man. A lot of the fans, man, we look at stats to justify why we're going to make a decision, why we're going to put our faith in a certain team or offense to do X, Y, and Z. But when that stat is pretty much subjective and diluted because you're playing Sister Mary the Blind, yeah, I can go out there and have 400 yards rushing. So when you look at the stats and don't look at they rush for 400 and some odd yards, or they're going to do this on so and so. But when they get in the game and they don't do so and so, then what's the first thing we say? Oh, well, they ain't played nobody. No shit. We already knew that. But we came in here and we told everybody before that game Saturday that Tennessee ain't played nobody. And yes, we did struggle against some teams. Yes, we did struggle against some teams.
Well, that's the other thing. If you look at what they did do, even scoring or whatever, at some point when you put them in the position, they started a bunch of those drives inside of Oklahoma territory.
Yes.
And they were on the field almost 10 minutes more. They were on the field almost 10 minutes more than was, even with all those 3 and outs. They were still on the field almost 10 minutes more in the first half. At some point, a good offense is going to get theirs.
Yeah.
No?
Momentum is a cold bitch served. If you get momentum going, man, it can make things happen that normally don't happen. And when you get a fumble recovery and the fans going crazy and everybody's excited, before you can even go over there and take your damn helmet off and get some Gatorade, the damn ball's going right back to that team. And you go right back out there and do the same damn thing. Momentum is a bitch. Sorry for
Yeah.
saying that.
How
And
many
if
times
you
did
don't
you hear
understand that,
Herbie say, "Well, eventually they're going to get it. They're going to get it going here. They're going to get it going here." I give the defense from Oklahoma a lot of credit, but eventually the dam's going to break. It never broke. And once you brought Hawkins in and gave him a little bit of rest, they didn't even got a little better in the second half. They scored two. They scored what? Two field goals in the second half. No touchdowns. They let their foot off the gas. According to Tennessee fans, they put their foot off the gas. Bullshit. They took their foot off the gas. Bullshit.
Hey, your coach is getting upset when a guy gets hurt.
I don't give a fuck what Brandon Walker said, folks. I don't give a fuck what Brandon Walker said. Brandon Walker's sitting there talking about that he didn't want to do that to his alma mater. He wanted to stick it to Oklahoma more than you can understand. If you're not an OU fan and you don't get this, they fired him when he averaged 36 points a game on offense that year.
Mm-hmm.
He's mad as shit at OU. He hasn't returned to OU in 10 years.
Yeah.
He didn't say shit about it during the week other than little niceties. Of course, that's what he did. He's a smart guy. He wanted to rub this in. They had 8 men in the box in the second half. They didn't take their foot off of shit.
Nope. This is what I'm saying to answer Kim Hurst's question. If we scored on first and second possession, Tennessee would be behind the 8 ball. Well, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We made Tennessee do some things they wasn't accustomed to doing. We said to before the ball game, when you come in there and you try to run X and Y and Z and if shit don't work, you have that oh shit moment, because now you got to figure out, what do we have to do? I'm telling you, from a person who knows family members that are lifelong Tennessee fans, they were nervous as hell because they wasn't used to seeing their team being held, and they wasn't used to their team not running their play the way it's supposed to. I'm telling you, I had people thinking that they were going to score 45 or 50 points on Oklahoma. I'm telling you, I'm not making this shit up.
That's all they kept saying. Hey, I've got 80,000 views on that TikTok and thousands of comments saying we're going to dog walk y'all.
Oh yeah.
40, 30, 40 to 10, whatever. They're talking about it all day long. And then there's another 15,000 of them on the same video on YouTube saying the same shit. And they're still after the game because they won, they dominated, or and they're saying that he took his foot off the gas or it wouldn't have been close. That's bullshit. We know it's bullshit. And you know it's bullshit because all you have to do is watch the game. Listen, I think that, Herbie couldn't even get Hawkins' name right. He'd call him 9.
Yeah.
They were definitely wanting to say what they said. They wanted to give the love to Tennessee. Do I think fight on that, as you asked me? Yeah, from a one possession. They were. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but they didn't take their foot off the gas. You got 8 men in the box. That's not taking your foot off the gas. It's not.
I heard the same thing from Rhythm Lemon. I heard the same thing, that the Tennessee fans were hauling profanity because they was upset that the offense wasn't running deep plays and throwing the ball all over the field. You couldn't. And a buddy of mine who coaches for another college and everything, he was like, I watched that game, man, and to see that you guys were getting pushed, getting pressure on a quarterback with a 3-man front was very impressive, and nobody's talking about that. Like, they had sometimes 8 guys in the box, and you're still getting pressure with a 3-man front. But nobody wants to say anything about that because the perspective of the game is, well, Tennessee came in there and did whatever they wanted to do on Oklahoma. They didn't. The offensive line and
that's not true. That's a unfactual statement, non-factual.
I know. But like I said, to try to go back 3 or 4 days and saying what could have, should have happened is very, very depressing. but JA did stink the game up to the point to where it was just to the point to where OU couldn't come back. You were telling me during the ball game that they got to pull him, and I was saying, well, I thought that he would get it turned around. I'm a big believer in giving a guy a next time to try to go out there and get it done, but at some point you got to pull the plug and say, you know what, we got to go with a different guy just to see what kind of spark we can get. And now, like you said, I can't see no way of going back because that guy that came in showed you the heart that he had to where once he went diving and put his head down and ran into those two guys on the goal line, that let me know all I needed to know. He didn't try to
Yeah.
slide. He didn't try to get down. He tried to go through their ass to get a touchdown.
I've heard stuff about starters not being in the game. Which ones? Which fucking ones?
For who?
For
Tennessee?
Yeah, for Tennessee. Yeah. Which
Dude, they played
starters
the
were
whole
out?
game.
They played the whole damn game. I don't even know what we're talking about. That's the point. Is you can say
Man.
you can listen. I love the way we spin things, right? We spin
Jason.
things. It's like I was just talking about with Stat Guy and all. And guys, relax. Let him. I can handle this part with Stat. And Stat's one of our boys. We good. Shotty's one of our boys. We good.
Oh yeah.
Just
But
relax.
you
But
gotta
I'm
say
gonna,
that
you know
to
what? And
stay
I can handle
face.
this part. What I don't like is this bullshit stuff that comes in from these clowns. You know that you don't better say something at least. At least Stat and them are trying to give you a reason, and I can shut that shit down because that's where I feel like stats don't. You know what? Stats matter in some instances. If you don't put the right context with it, they don't mean shit. And when you have people like Tennessee people that are saying that, you know, they were saying they're going to win by 30 or 40, but, you know, well, they only didn't because, you know, they dominated the game. Well, no shit, they dominated the game. We couldn't get anything going offensively until we took out the quarterback that was turning the ball over every damn down. Didn't capitalize on big turnovers that gave you the ball at one inside the 5-yard line, one at midfield. You're ready to go in there, and at the very least, it should have been 10-10 or 10-6 at the half. At the very least, it ends up 19-3
I think it should have been 10,
because
10-9 because you turned the ball over 2 times in the red zone. You give the ball right back to him in the red zone.
Well, not in the red zone
So, I mean-
necessarily, but it was in plus territory for sure. Plus territory for Oklahoma for sure. Yeah. So the second one, you know, obviously the one where it was actually at the 38-yard line because that's the number that they were looking for of where he was in where the ball was in relation to the 38. So that's still in plus territory though. If you just go and get 8 yards, then you're looking at you just get 8 yards. That's another field goal. Yeah. And inside the 5, you should probably punch it in. In fact, if he just on the fumble that he had, if you pitch that ball, you're in. And it was a fake pitch, was the play call. And
why did he
had he pitched it, the guy walks in. That's what Gabe was pissed off about. He was giving it to Seth Luttrell.
Yeah.
Giving it to him last night. I haven't even heard Gabe say curse words on that show ever before. He said fuck at least 3 or 4 times. I was surprised. Yeah. I was like, damn,
when you got guys that have played for the university, man, you see how passionate they are, and they're going to be direct. Those are their friends, but they are going to hold them accountable for, you know, mess ups that they have and when they do shit that they shouldn't be doing. But you got to have a game plan. You got to have at least 3 game plans when you play a game. That's the basic status quo for a coach, is that if you got 3 quarterbacks or 2, you got to have 2 game plans in case something happens and you have to make a change. Because some guys can't do what this guy can do, and this guy can't do what that guy can do. So you got to, and I hate when coaches say, well, the quarterback has to come in and run the plays, or he can't be a quarterback. You have to make the offense fit to your quarterback or whichever quarterback you have, or you just being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Seth tried to run some plays. He didn't trust Michael to go out there and make the plays. Then when it came down to crunch time, he had no choice but to trust Michael, and then the ball started to move. So that's a bad coaching job and everything, is because if I put your ass in, you got to know how to play. If you can't play, I won't put you in. Just the way it goes. So
Yeah.
it just sucks, man. It just sucks. The defense played their ass off, man, and this is what we got out of it. A lot of complaining and bitching about the quarterback that pretty much, and I don't like saying this about JA, man, but he pretty much, it was 12 on 10 that night, because he gave them a lot of their possessions
Oh
and a
yeah,
lot of the
man.
points. And I
Listen,
hate
in the
saying
end,
that, because I know the young man right now is going through shit right now, because phone
he
blowing
is.
up, Twitter
And
blowing it up. He's reading all this stuff, man.
a lot of
But
Sooner fans
that's
can take a lot of responsibility for what's going on, but except for because it's toxic, man. I'm in the
Yeah.
stadium, I'm listening to it. You could hear it. And it's been like that already. It's one thing that it was going on against Tennessee, which again, I think if anything, I didn't give Tennessee the credit that they probably deserved coming in. They were damn good. They're damn good. But to be able to, essentially, you gave up 2 big plays to them. Look, they average. I mean, we can sit here and talk about, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I thought that the stats really mattered to me that much. The fact of the matter is they went out and did it. And they've been the best rushing team in the country for the past couple of years. They've got a nice little rushing attack. Oklahoma shut that down. 2.9 yards per carry for a team that's averaging, what, 7, 8 yards a carry coming in? They had 500 yards against Kent State. Again, you had to put that into context. But if you got to put that into context, then you also had to put in the rankings at week 3 of the fucking season into context. Yeah, I saw you in there, Coach I. You got to put it all into context. It can't just be whenever it suits your argument that they're not elite. That's elite. When you 9 3-and-outs makes it elite.
Yeah.
We're going to welcome into the show the father of one of those elite defensive players, Michael Boganowski Sr. What's up, Big Mike? How we doing, man?
What's up, big dog?
What's up,
How
Mike?
we doing?
Hey, how you doing, Coach?
Doing all right, man. How you doing, bud?
Man, it's still ringing from Saturday night, man. It was loud in there. But
Loud.
Other than that, I can't complain.
Did you guys know that I heard it on? I didn't know this until, and I saw the meter in there a few times. It was damn loud, but
Yeah,
that was the loudest crowd according to ESPN in 2 years.
ESPN.
And last year,
Yeah.
I think she said that
Death Valley.
Death Valley went to 115 on the decibels, and they went to 117 at one point the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was and the most ridiculous part is I bought earplugs and had them in my pocket and didn't even put them in like a dummy.
Mhm.
Well, get into that
obviously
game,
we've
man.
been
Sometimes
talking
you
about
lose focus.
obviously we've been talking about a lot of things, and we're getting into a lot of game talk, and we'll get you in on some of that too. But the elephant in the room is obviously Jackson Arnold, Michael Hopkins. We're getting a little feedback from you. Do you have it open on the on YouTube as well there, Big Mike?
No, not at all.
Okay. I don't know where we're getting that from, but anyway. So the biggest, obviously the whale, we can talk about this all day, but there's a few things I want to get your opinion on. In the end, I would say that the change had to be made. And I want to see, what do you think about him making the change? I mean, I would tell you that he probably should have made it earlier than that. You're hearing people, some people are saying, well, he should have made the change in the Houston game, after the Houston game. Okay. And had Michael played the entire game, it's probably a different story. We can do that kind of stuff all day long. And I'm not going to do that. The point I would make is I think it was pretty clear that Jackson was washed, man. You needed to bring in Michael Hawkins, and if you don't, the point that I've been trying to make is that if you are preaching team all the time, and then you don't make this move, then what does the team really mean if you're Brent Venables? You got guys like Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman that come back when they could be in the NFL right now. They come back for this football team. Do you really care about the whole team? What say you on this?
To be honest with me, I think it was an easy decision in the game. I could stand with going. I can go with the coach's decision, keeping Jackson in there, especially for the Houston game. He's still young, you know what I
No,
mean. And I still think that there was some
I agreed with that.
optimism.
I'm just saying there's people that said it. You know
No,
what I mean? I'm not saying I agree with that.
Listen, there's some people that's out there saying that we're going to get blew out by 50 by Tennessee. I mean, we all know how that went. But what I'm saying is, I still think that they were still working on him. He's a work in progress, and I think they were trying to teeter the line and keeping him in there and win ball games. Once it was clearly obvious, because I went back and when I watched the tape last night, as soon as I got home, watched the replay, and there was some questionable decision making from Jackson Arnold, and I'm not going to sit here and put all the blame on him because our offensive line is still struggling. And it's this isn't like I'm some savant watching film, like it's glaringly obvious
You have
in
played
watching.
Division I level, but I would say,
But listen, man, I've been out the game. They didn't have RPOs when I was playing. They didn't have all this. I've been out the game for a long time, but it's a numbers game, and just doing some. There was just bad decision making, and I think the change was easy. And I'm not washing my hands of Jackson Arnold. That's for sure. I think the talent is there. And different people develop at different times and in different ways. Some people develop quicker, some people don't, And I had a talk with one of my old teammates, that we had this situation with your boy Ty at New Mexico State. We used to bring in the young freshman quarterback who was my roommate, just a little spark.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it's part of development too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, getting some snaps. But, like I said, I'm not washing my hands.
Quarterback for Tony Samuel, man. Ty wasn't exactly the perfect quarterback for Tony Samuel. You know what I mean?
I just think it's best for the team. Yeah. I think the decision that they made in the middle part of the game and bringing in Hawkins was best. And I think BV said it. I think he said it the best. He was tired of seeing the same thing, and I think that kind of spoke for the whole stadium. And it had to be a change. I think it was the easy choice.
Do you think that when they pulled him out and brought Hawkins in, that they should have brought him back in just to see if the jitters was gone, or if he, some quarterbacks got to come out for a series or so just to see from the sidelines. Sometimes when you're in the ball game and you see things from the sideline, you register a little bit different when you get back in the ball game. I was thinking that he might have came back, but when he didn't come back in, it didn't bother me. I just felt like if you would have took him out, let him see the things that Michael was doing and see the things that he missed, that maybe it would have helped him out. Do you feel like if he would have went back in, it might have made a little bit of difference?
In the Tennessee game, no, I don't. Maybe later on in the year, I could see that. But right then and there, no, I don't.
Okay. No, because I was just thinking,
Yeah, and that's where I'm at too. Look, I'm not. I've been the guy saying we ain't throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. What the hell are you guys talking about?
No,
they're 3-0, folks. There's a difference in that and what we saw in the first half. 33 plays were run with Jackson Arnold at quarterback. They had 3 turnovers, all his, every one of them. Venables said himself the read every time on that play, on that lateral, is a handoff. And if you look back at it, Javonte probably gets 7, 8, 10 yards out of that at the very least. If he's me, he gets 7 yards. Maybe not me, but
a strong 3. You're getting 3 at least.
I'm getting 3, man. I can say that. No, I wouldn't have got the shit. But the point is, I'm not a college football player either. In the end, what I'm getting at is there was a hole there. And to be honest with you, there were a couple of times that we saw that had Jackson run it to the outside. This is the egregious part for Seth Littrell. Run the fucking outside zone for once. Why are you running into the teeth of this unbelievable defense? Why in the fuck are we doing that? I don't think that. Listen, I'm not putting this line with a struggling offensive line at that. That's where, Teddy was talking about that too. It makes zero sense that your worst play is your staple running play, and you've been doing it all year, where if you the few times that we saw them hit the outside, even the fucking jet sweep was working, folks.
Yep. That's why I was saying I'm surprised with no screen plays, no screen passes, no nothing. I mean, normally we would run a wide receiver screen, or we would run the running back screen. We didn't run it not one single time. And this is what bothers me when you have your slot receiver not being guarded. He's being guarded 9 and 10 yards back. I never understood why you don't just hit the quick hit and get 3 or 4 or 5 yards all the way down the downfield. I just never understood these kind of things. Make it simple for you guys. Get them in a rhythm to where things might open up after that.
I think he asked, Shawty just asked, who do you go with, the guy with the experience or the high upside, and who has the most upside? Well, I think it's pretty clear that Michael Hawkins has more upside, especially right now. My upside for him would be that he was seeing the same pass rush. The people that are saying that they let off the fucking gas in the second half didn't watch the football game. They're listening to bullshit. Because, first off, Josh Heupel was out for blood. No doubt about it. And I love Josh. I'm not even saying that he shouldn't have been out for blood. I'm telling you, he was out for blood. And he had 8 guys in the box in the fourth quarter. Don't tell me he took his foot off the gas first. Number 2, even though all that was coming in, they were rushing the passer and trying to get to him on every possible opportunity. I never saw Michael Hawkins get flustered. I never saw him make a bad decision. And I saw him thread the needle on some passes that we wouldn't even see Jackson try. And if he did, it would just be, like the interception. We talked about that yesterday. Egregious, completely egregious. What the fuck are you throwing it there for? And not only did he throw it there, he threw it there like confidently, like that was the open guy.
Yeah,
you never throw it back.
He never saw that flat defender.
The field.
He never saw that flat defender.
No.
Triple coverage, man. Triple coverage.
Well,
there was a wide open guy in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Wide ass.
You never throw back against your body. I mean, if you're going one way and you stop and throw back to the other side of the field, that's a long throw. So you had a guy run down the middle of the field. I just think that he was trying to have happy feet, and he rushed a little bit of the throws that he did throw.
He's got a confidence problem overall, Coach. He's got a confidence problem overall. We've all seen it. We've seen it from teammates. We've seen it from as a coach, whatever we've all seen guys that are great practice players and play like shit in the game because they get in their own head. We've all seen it. And so look, I'm not saying he's unredeemable. That's not what I'm saying. He's a 5-star for a reason. He won Elite 11, all that stuff. He played unbelievable football in Texas Class 6A, playing in 2 state championship games. Great player. I'm not saying he's unredeemable. I'm saying he ain't the guy right now. Yeah. You can't go. And if you're Brent Venables, you made the decision finally, and I want you guys' opinion on this. You made the decision that showed me you're not a defensive coordinator masquerading as a head coach. You're willing to make that tough decision that you're going to get people talking shit like Skip Bayless, like he has a fucking clue. You know what I mean? But the point is, you're going to get some of that. You're going to get some of that, and he's been getting shit for the 6 and 7 when it would be easy for him to be like Lincoln Riley and blame it on Lincoln. He didn't.
Yeah,
he didn't. He never does. He didn't put it off on Seth. Here's the thing. Stephen G said earlier in the thing that it was Luttrell's decision. It was not Luttrell's decision. It was his decision. He said it in the press conference. They asked him, well, did you talk to Jackson about it? Nope. I told Seth to pull his ass.
Yeah. Hey.
It doesn't matter really who said you're coming out of the game. It was his choice. Get him the fuck out. You got to get him. And it's not even, again, this is not me hating on Jackson Arnold. I like the kid. I've been one of his biggest apologists. I thought it was crazy to pull him out in a situation where you're undefeated and he could still be getting a lot better. We've seen quarterbacks take some time. This wasn't that, though. And then you see what Watkins did when he got in there. He performed. He put his body on the line, he Sam Bradford 2.0 on the somersault into the end zone that should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then the first time that he ended up with a TD pass on that, but to lower your shoulder at the goal line going up against a linebacker and a safety, as a defensive guy, do you not love that guy right now? If you're on that defense there, Big Mike?
The whole team. They work for the whole team saw that. And he didn't lower his shoulder once. He did it twice on the goal line.
Twice.
I'm not saying there's a conspiracy with Oklahoma going to the SEC, but the first time we had SEC refs, bro, they hammered us on reviews. Like they hammered. I don't know if we had one break in our favor in that game, but I don't know how he flips like that, and you put the ball on the 6-inch line. Like how do you come to that conclusion that that's what a ball should be? That blew my mind in the game. Like I couldn't comprehend how they spotted that ball. It blew my mind.
Yeah, both of them, right? Both of them, because it looked like it was there. And I'm not dogging Stephen G. He's one of my boys, man. He's one of our mods. We love him, but that was incorrect though. And Mike Crossland just said it too. Incorrect. That did not come from Seth Luttrell. He delivered the message. He didn't make the choice. And at what head coach wouldn't be making that choice? The point I'm trying to make is, look, guys, if you had a question about whether Brent Venables is head coach material, he answered it. I said yesterday, and some folks have been in here going, well, we can't throw him out. We can't throw him out. Maybe he's still ready. No. If after what you saw from Mike Hawkins the other day, you want to go send him back to the bench for hoping that Jackson Arnold is okay, I got to ask you what your problem is. But if Venables does it, my opinion of him changes.
Well, here's the thing: when those
Flat
guys
out.
go,
I think.
Go ahead,
Coach.
Go ahead. No, when the guys go
I think Venables.
I think you got a delay. So go ahead, Big Mike.
I think Coach Venables is going to do the right thing for the team. At the end of the day, I think that's just what his makeup is and how he coaches and approaches football and life. And I think he's going to make the best decision for the team.
Yep.
Coach, followed up.
Well, what I was going to say is once those guys get into the meeting rooms and they break down that footage and they watch that footage, and those guys watch Michael give up his body, try to run through guys, that means something to a team where this guy was willing to give up his body. He didn't want to give up. When I saw that, he didn't try to slide, but when you tried to go through a defensive tackle and a linebacker to score a touchdown, and then you dive over and you land on your head and your shoulders trying to score a touchdown, that means something to your team to where they know that's their quarterback. That's something that you ain't got to even notice. They see that. as a team is that that guy was willing to give up everything to score a touchdown. So
Yeah, and look, and nobody. This is a talk about the quarterback situation. That's why we're talking about the quarterback situation. Nobody's saying that the offensive line doesn't have its part in this either. The whole look, there's a lot of things that may have conspired to be at this point. Okay. And I would agree with that. I think that the play calling has been shitty. I think that the offensive line play has been spotty at best. I think that you have a bunch of receivers that are pups. You know, I think there's a lot of that. What I saw was a quarterback that came in a situation where this is a mad bunch of dogs on coming at you. Same situation that Jackson was in and performed. That's all I can tell you. Am I telling you that means that Seth Luttrell's off the hook? Fuck no. Does that mean that I think that the offensive line's off the hook? Fuck no. Even Brent Venables off the hook for that. Nope. None of it. It's just look, they win as a team and they lose as a team. And the bottom line is that you got to make the right decisions here. And I don't know. There's a few things that we all have questions about as fans when we see them not performing up to the standard, which at Oklahoma, offensive standard is to be the shit, right? Almost to the point that it's hurt you in the past. But now that you have a really good defense, an elite defense, I would say, you better be at least serviceable on offense, because if you are on Saturday night, you might win that game. You might not, but you might.
put yourself in a better situation.
So in the end, yeah, you got to look. The choice was made, and I would tell you, as I said again, I think that he graduated from having questions about whether or not he's the head coach type of guy, because there's still a lot of those out there. I don't have any. I didn't have any before either, but I had questions about, was he able to insert himself into the entirety of the game plan and hold the offensive guys accountable. I've had questions about DeMarco Murray for a while. I've had questions about the rotation in a lot of ways, right? I've had a lot of that kind of stuff. I didn't understand what the hell Jeff Lebby was doing at times last year, because it just, I mean, yes, I get it. Stat-wise, it would tell you that they were fucking great. They lost games because of some of the play calling. It's just a fact, folks. Yeah. It's just a fact. They missed a chance to go to the playoff because of bad play calling. Situationally bad play calling. Go ahead.
And like, to your comment of what are we doing, right? Like, I cannot comprehend being on the 6-inch line and running your play from the gun, from the shotgun, right? I don't understand that, and we lose a couple yards on the play. That's the easiest, like, get under gun, quarterback sneak it. Like, we're struggling, right? That's the easiest win. It's a chip, it's a layup, or whatever you want to call it. Bro, just get in there and sneak that thing in. And on the other hand, when we're backed up on our 2, we're running plays out of the gun again, and we get a safety. Like, I just maybe they might be oversimplifying it, and we need to simplify. But bro,
I'd love to be under center too.
Reeling. Yeah, we're reeling, and you're taking shots, and you're playing risky, and I don't know. That blew my mind too. I had a lot of mind-blowing moments in this game.
Yeah, I get it, man. And the under center, look, I agree with the under center stuff. I'd love to see that. I mean, sometimes it's the only way to go. RPO teams are never going to do it. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Listen, so I disagree with you. Who is one of the best RPO teams in the NFL? The Philadelphia Eagles. And what do they do better than anybody else in the league? Is they run the tush push. It can be done, and it has to happen. Like, that's crazy. Well, but
I'm just
they got to
saying
get
this
out of their own way.
RPO team. Well, and you haven't seen a ton of other RPO teams do it at all. I mean, at the college level for sure. I don't know why it's foreign to them. I don't get it. I think that you could be completely multiple in all ways if you want to, right? I think you can. I think that we've seen it defensively. You don't have anything that holds you back from doing it. I also know that they don't want to over jam these guys' brains, which may be a problem too, because I think that overall you're coming down to these guys are only making one read and they come in only knowing one read. And now when you get to college and you need to know a little bit more, they're struggling with it. And I think that could have something to do with this as well. I know this. What the main thing I saw this week was poise coming out of Michael Hawkins. And we haven't seen it out of Jackson. We saw it more in the bowl game, and he had 4 turnovers there too, than we saw it all throughout this season. I thought that he looked very good against Tulane, aside from the pick 6. But look, I don't think that there's even a question as to right now who looks better. He looks comfortable. I don't know that he doesn't even have a better arm than Jackson. I know he's faster and always seems to have his eyes up. Not afraid. No fear. I want, and like you said, I mean, you go in there twice trying to lower your shoulder up against a linebacker and safety that are bringing it to you to not let you in. Because don't think for a second that they didn't want to hold on to their streak of no touchdowns allowed. I don't give a shit who it was against. They didn't want anybody scoring touchdowns on. I don't want to hear this that they let off the gas because that's bullshit. We know better than that.
Yeah,
and
I thought it was a good coach.
Tennessee. I'm not even saying that Tennessee isn't great. I think they're really, really good, man. Really good. Go ahead.
I thought it was a smart and an underrated move by Josh Heupel. I think he saw what was happening out there. You know, other than a couple big pass plays in the RPO, you know, it was tough sledding for him. And you know, we scored, and you know, it turned it. And I think at that point he was just like, "Hey, we're getting out of here with a dub, and let's pound this rock and get out of here." And I think it was an underrated coaching move. And you've seen plenty of instances where somebody's still going to try to throw RPO and throw the ball when you should be running the ball and punting and playing defense, where it backfires on them and the ball gets tipped, fumble, picks it up, interception. And guess what? Now you're in a dogfight halfway through the 4th quarter. When if you just run the ball and play defense, the game, you know, you're going to run the clock out and they don't have enough time.
Yeah, you're right on that. I was just trying to go back to where I just saw
Yeah,
that.
it's like I said, it may be an underrated move in a coaching philosophy, but man, like it's proven. And you know, in the world of analytics, hey man, give me what's proven in analytics to me. Like, you know, that doesn't. What do my eyes see? What does the game feel like? How and analytics don't, you know, put that in as a factor. And I don't know how they would, but I don't know. I thought it was a smart move by Tennessee and Coach Heupel.
How is Brent Venables going to fix the offense just like he did with the defense? He did it. This is what you have to do: is make the right choices. You have to be able and willing to stand up and say and take ownership and accountability of your football team. Okay, I think that there's times that my personal question, I can tell you this, that my question about BV has been, are you willing to do everything that needs to be done? Like, I don't love the autonomy shit. I don't love the autonomy for the offense from him. I think I don't love that. I didn't love it when Lebby was there. I really don't love it now. I don't think you're getting it anymore either. But that has always been my feelings. The first couple of years he was here, it was like, hey, at what point is Brent Venables going to take ownership and say, it's my record we're talking about, it's my job on the line, I don't agree with this, that, so-and-so, whatever, right? That's where I felt like you had to do that. He did that now. He stepped in and said, get him out of the damn game. And you have to be willing to do such a thing. I don't care if you've been a defensive coach your whole life. This idea that they can't get it right on the other side is crazy. Look at Bill Belichick. is one of the greatest defensive minds in the history of college of football, in period, and probably the best, and had his hands all over the offense too, all the time.
Yeah. I think you heard Coach Venable say it, right? He said he trusts Coach Alley, right? And he's sliding into the offensive rooms, and I don't know, if he's in there just spectating, watching, or if he's in there giving input or whatever. But you heard him say it, like, yeah, if I die and come back, I want to come back as an offensive coach because, I want to live in that world or whatever. And I think you're seeing him, in there paying attention. At least I know that. And there's always
glasses. Then get some glasses. That's all I got to tell you. Watch the fucking game with glasses on, because you don't see shit. Killing me. Hey, thanks for coming in, Seawald. I'm sorry. I've been paying attention to your comments for sure. I appreciate your comments, and the Clemson stuff does apply. That's why I was talking about it earlier. Was that it does apply that Venables has seen this have to happen before with a freshman, a true freshman, against a guy that everybody loved, and Kelly Bryant. We've seen this.
Yeah.
Jay Chapman, be careful in there. Be careful. Don't come in here.
I think our coordinators are taking some heat right now, and I've heard and I've seen the chatter. The play calling sucks. But if the players ain't executing said play calling, it don't matter what you call, bro. If we can't if we can't block and we can't run the right plays and we can't count, it doesn't matter what you run. It don't matter if you're out here the greatest show on turf. If you ain't blocking, it ain't working. And that's what everybody says. The SEC's a up front, O-line, D-line dominated game. And we're getting dominated up front. So guess what? It doesn't matter. You can call whatever you want. It's going to be tough sledding.
That's true. Now, I would say that I believe that now that you're getting some of these guys healthy on the offensive line, I trust Big Bill to figure this out, and I think that they get better week to week. If you're not, then what are we doing anyway? The point of any football team is week to week to improve somewhere. Now, I also would tell you that I don't know how many defensive lines in the SEC are as good as the one you just went up against either.
Yeah.
And for them to that was their first game altogether, those guys, it's tough. And listen, I get it. And Teddy's an offensive lineman, and he's going to be rough on the offensive line, guys. I get what Gabe Eichert was saying. I get it. And he should be rough on them. That's his thing. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you that I believe in he believes in Big Bill. But the fact is we are in again, I'll say it again, results-oriented business. It's all about results. The results that we were getting from this quarterback weren't the right results. And by saying that, if you are really promoting a culture of the best player plays and you don't make the move that you made Saturday night for moving forward, then nobody believes you anymore. If you're Brent Venables, nobody believes you anymore. You become Brian Kelly, who's talking about we don't buy players when they fucking buy players. I think he graduated to full-on head coach this weekend. I said it. I believe it. He's no longer just, and that doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree with that, because I don't think they will. Norman, you better back up, dude. Knock it off. Stupid dog. He's trying to eat the damn computer, guys. My monster here. The bottom line is the defense is elite. You have to try to capitalize on this however you can. And I believe that Michael Hawkins, I said this before he ever got to campus, that if he ever got in the game, it would be tough to ever take him out. And I don't think you can, at least not right now.
I'm telling you, man, that he is shifty. He makes, he's making people miss. Free rushers too. Now I'm not talking about like, like he's making people miss. He's got another gear. And man, let me tell you something. When he decides to rip that ball, like it comes out of his hand it's quick now. And I mean it's quick. Like there's a different a different look to it. And you're seeing some of those receivers that he had, working with him in practice that are in the game now. And there's a little bit of chemistry there, and it showed a little bit. And I think number 17, hopefully he steps up, man. Old Petaway, because he looked good, and that was his best game by far. And I think he's showing that what everybody
Oh
thought of
man,
him. Because
I
there's a couple
love
people
seeing that.
writing him off already, but he looked good, man. He caught that one and took it down the sideline. That was big time.
You
Couple
have to
nice
get your
catches
moment, right?
before
You have to get your moment, and there was a lot of guys that think about where they had to get to for him to really get. Plus, he's had some injury issues as well.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
banged up a little bit in camp. He's been banged up. I think he may have even been banged up a little bit in spring. But it's kind of hard to get past guys like, we've been talking about Deion Burks. The guy's a flash. The dude is a flash, and then with Jaden Gibson doing what he was doing at the end of last season, and with what we saw out of Nick Anderson last season, plus Andrew Anthony was the leading receiver for Oklahoma until he got hurt against Texas. There's guys that they had to make sure of first. Now, all those guys have gotten hurt. You all have an opportunity. I think Zion Reagans has made himself a part of this. I get what people are saying about the shrimp receivers and all that kind of stuff. I get it, guys. I get it. Not really sure why we're not going with Carry On. Obviously, there's something going on there. But I think you need him in there at this point.
Yeah, you got to get him some run.
He hadn't even really gotten any looks. I want to see him get some looks because, again, I don't know. Sometimes, we said some guys are great practice players and not great in the games. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes they don't do shit in practice and they light it up in games. Yeah. Seen those guys too.
Unless they're playing on red shirt and Carry On. I don't know why they wouldn't.
At what point do you? What do you have guys like this for?
Yeah,
if you don't use them now, because when you lose 6 guys, essentially, and I don't know how long Deion's going to be out, but now 6 receivers are down. What is your depth for?
Yep. Yeah, that's the only reason I can think of why he's not in the game. But I don't know. Maybe you still get 4.
Red shirt, man. Nobody gives a shit about red shirts anymore. Yeah. It's portal era.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't. That's the only thing I can come up with on why he's not playing. I mean, I've seen him in practice before, man. He looks good. He's big. He's fluid.
He is. They've talked about it a lot.
I've seen it, man. I was impressed with the kid. I was like, damn, he's so big, and he runs like that. He's fluid coming in and out of his breaks for a big dude. Like, it's super impressive. And I get his big ass on the field.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I've been one of those guys that's been waiting on Jacquez to get after it, because we're talking about a guy that was running a sub 22 200, in high school, and he's just that guy, and he's got some build to him, and you just feel like you get him going a little bit, and all it's just like Jaden Gibson last year. Everybody's ready to write him off too. Everybody's ready. He was dropping everything. He couldn't catch a cold. Couldn't catch a cold. Once he got, and I remember Hank saying it, don't give up on him yet. Don't give up on him yet. And me and K. Chris were talking about it on his show, or mine maybe, where it was after the spring game going into last season. And we were like, maybe he's going to get in the portal, because I don't see them getting him on the field. They can't trust him. Finally, he catches one, gets a touchdown, and next thing you know, he's the alpha dog in the room. Yeah. You need that guy to happen. And this is what it takes time on the field before any of that can happen. It takes time on the field. And I don't have a problem with Jackson was a 5-star Gatorade National Player of the Year for a reason. We know that. I was I've been one of his biggest supporters in all of this, that it wasn't time to pull him. It wasn't time to pull him. I said on the morning show with Coach I Saturday that We couldn't look at pulling him unless, I said unless he and Coach I was like, I don't care how he plays. You can't, you guys ran off Dylan Gabriel. We didn't run off Dylan Gabriel. He ran himself off. I get what he was coming from though, because he's not wrong. There was a lot of people that hated on DG last year. A lot of people that hated on DG.
Yep.
For 2 years, really.
Yep.
It is what it is. And it'd be easy to say, yeah, we'd love to have that guy in the room right now because of his experience and stuff. We all know that he did not have the physical tools of either of these players, though. None of that matters if you're Jackson and you're not getting it done. But we see right now, whatever had to happen to get to this point, and I've said this a lot, I've always looked at 25 as Oklahoma's best opportunity to win a national championship. Doesn't mean they couldn't do it this year necessarily if everything fell right. And they still have that in front of them. I would have to see a lot more out of them to see that. I don't see it right at this moment. Next year, I could see that still. My thoughts were always, well, Jackson will have a year under his belt of seasoning, because you have to expect growing pains, and you better expect them from Michael Hawkins too. He's not going to be perfect. I like certain things that I'm seeing from him that it makes me feel like he's better for the job right now. And by next year, what could he be? Either way, this was the only job to make. The only way Jackson sees the field again this year is injury. That's it. Period. End of story for me. I think that's got to be the way it is.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with the 2025 prediction. And the best chance to win a natty. I don't know if that gets set back now, with this quarterback controversy or whatever. But I think that this defense is going to maintain from this year to next year. And I know we're losing Stutz and we're losing Billy, but we've gained Kendall Dobie through injury. He's gonna have a medical red shirt, and he's gonna come back, and he'll be back next year. This defense is going to maintain a high level of play. You got some young linebackers right now, and shit. That damn Lewis Carter come through and hit that running back, look like a
dog,
bro.
Hey, listen, I'm in row 11, dude. I can hear the shit. You hear the air coming out of dudes from where I was sitting.
Dude, I got so hyped.
And you could hear it. Whoo.
That pumped me up so much, dude. I was so hyped, bro. But I mean, just you see glimpses like that, and you're like, yep. Kip.
Same with Sammy O. Sammy O comes in. I mean, listen, Kendall Dobie, I fucking hated that he got hurt like that. It sucks. Yeah. Kendall's a bad dude, right?
Yeah.
Sammy O comes in and does a great job.
Yeah.
He's Ford.
Big, man. He's big. This dude look monstrous out there. And he's aggressive. He's big. He's physical. He's setting edges. Dude, we're gonna be, hopefully, offensively next year we get some of these receivers back, and we have an off season in the spring and a summer to work some chemistry, and maybe 25. We're gonna be really good, man. Looking forward. And we got to work on the O-line and continue to prepare and build depth there, because it's the SEC. You need waves, man. You need waves, and it's gonna continue, man. And we got to get better. And we'll still have a real legit shot. And I'm not discounting this year, but I think it's obvious that we're reeling right now, and in the glimpse of hope that Michael Hawkins brought to this team is evident, and is much needed. And I think Auburn, we're going to go down to Auburn and play well, and I think that could turn the season around. And we need a bye week. We need this bye week coming into the Texas game. We need to heal up, and I think it's we go down to Auburn and we play well and we get that dub. Our season's turned around, and You know, we just gotta focus on Auburn and get down there and get out of Jordan Hare with a dub.
Yeah, no
He's
doubt.
Yeah.
I was on mute. I was talking to the dog. and
Oh
my
yeah,
mom.
you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Guys, you guys are not listening to it correctly. The context of what he said. Yes, Seth delivered the message that he was coming out of the game. It wasn't his choice. The choice was on Venables to do that. You really believe that he was saying that he didn't make the choice to pull the quarterback? Come on, guys. That's not something, even if you want to do it as the OC, you don't have to run that by the freaking head coach. Folks, it was not Seth's decision. He may have said, yeah, we got to get him out. He may have said that. Maybe there's something that he's seeing that he's like, man, he's out of it. I would tell you that I think that he was so in his head that he was making the exact opposite read of what you should be making in the RPO. That's a predetermined decision before the ball's ever snapped. And if he made every one of them wrong, which we saw that, then yeah, he was probably saying we got to get him out. It didn't make it his decision. Look, Venables had to make that choice. Believe that Venables had to make that choice. And what he said was, no, I didn't talk to Jackson about it. I made it known. Go look for that part, because he said, I made it known that he needed to come, we needed to go make a change. Seth Luttrell told him after he came out of the game. It doesn't really matter who delivered the message or who, but I'm telling you this, there's never a time, again, do you think, would Tony Samuel have not made that decision? Even, we know he was a defensive coach, right? Tony Samuel was making that decision at New Mexico State, was he not?
Yeah. I know he made that decision. No, it's part of it. I was there. And, the thing about it too is, with quarterbacks, they're not a lot of quarterbacks are Tom Brady, right? Not a lot of quarterbacks can, go with the coach's decision. Just Tom Brady has a different mindset, and he was a team first guy. And I'm not saying all quarterbacks are like this, but man, quarterbacks have, that mentally they need to be treated different than your average football player, right? For the confidence aspect, right? Because once that confidence goes, it's hard and it's tough to get it back. So you got to handle the quarterbacks in a different way. And I just think,
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Well, Venables may not have delivered the message the way that Seth would have.
But I know Coach Venables is having conversations and talking to him. He is that type of dude.
He loves the guy still.
Yeah,
Playing bad doesn't mean that you hate him now, right?
Yeah. And it's like you said earlier, it's a business now, and you can still make that business decision, but still have those conversations and tell the quarterback, hey man, I still love you. We're still in this together. We're going to fight through this. We're going to continue to work to get better, but we have to make a decision, and take you out for the betterment of the team. And and I think it's already happened, and it's just some people like to create a narrative. I think that it was just like, get them to the bench, we're done with them, we're washing our hands or whatever. Like, dude, if that's your narrative, dude, you have no idea what's going on with Coach Venables.
No, dude,
like, you're not paying attention at all.
As big a part of this, as big a part of what we talk about with the culture that he's trying to establish, right? We talk about it all the time. This is about team and becoming a man and going through it together, and they love each other. It's all love there. You talked about this before, that it was about a lot more than anything that had to do with NIL money or any of that other kind of shit. There was,
Yep.
I mean, I love it that you're here to speak to that, because of the fact that we know that it's not just about the NIL here. Not saying that they don't pay whatever they need to pay at Oklahoma. We know that they do. We know
You can do
because
both.
yeah, you can do both. Both can be true.
Yeah.
The point is, he doesn't look. I don't, whether or not it's at Oklahoma or it's not at Oklahoma, Jackson can be better for this. He gets a reset button. He gets a reset button. If it's somewhere else, so be it. But going through these struggles, man, in life, do we not have to go through struggles to get better at certain things? You absolutely do. Until you've experienced some things, you can never really understand what it's like to go through it. I mean, we've been in the military. There's certain things that we've probably experienced that most people haven't. And until you did experience it, you wouldn't understand. I've never been a starting quarterback or a 5-star quarterback or any of that kind of, I haven't been that guy. I wouldn't understand all of it, but I can understand what it's like to be a part of a team, and for it to matter that the entire team is holding each other accountable, and they got to hold Venables and this staff accountable as well. And believe me, I believe wholeheartedly that Seth Luttrell and Joe John are on an 8-game job interview at this point, because they haven't gotten it done either.
Yeah. I agree. I agree, man. But you know what? Everybody's constantly being evaluated. You're always being evaluated. That's football. You're always being evaluated, and you have to come every day, and you can't let your foot off the gas and just coast, or you're gonna find yourself out on the street looking for a job. I listen, man. I think Coach Venables, like I said earlier, is going to make the right decision and do what's best for it, because he loves Oklahoma and he wants to bring a natty.
Yes.
He wants to bring the national championship here and back to, he wants to bring it back to Norman. Here, I say
Absolutely.
here like I'm in Norman.
So do
he
every
wants
one
to
of
bring
the
it back.
players, right? All the players do too.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Yeah. And you've seen him make you've seen him make difficult decisions, and he did it last year.
Sure.
I don't think it's his legacy, and a school that he cherishes, and I think I don't know if it's a hard decision at all for him, to be honest with you. I think it would be kind of just like having to sit Jackson Arnold. Once it's obvious and it's glaring, like you got to make a move. But I say it's coming like within the next game or two next week. No, I don't. And I'll go back to my O line and in execution of offensive plays. There's that, and that when you're not executing and you're not blocking and you're not picking up blitzes, and it's don't matter what you call it. It's hard. It's hard. It's all around game, man. That's why football is a team, the ultimate team game. One guy, if all 11 ain't on the same page and executing, it's not going to work.
Sorry, Josie.
Yeah,
no coaches
Josie,
were talking. I don't think that's true. But I also think that you may not want. I don't think that Jackson was probably in the mood to talk to anyone when he got pulled out of the game. I don't think that. I think sometimes you got to let guys simmer down on their own and do their thing. I mean, and your job is to worry about the guy on the field right now, not the feelings of Jackson Arnold. I don't think that they needed to be over there consoling him necessarily, but I don't think that necessarily that never happened at any point of the game either. I wouldn't say that.
And just because you didn't see it on the TV cut doesn't mean it didn't happen. Right. And there was a TV cut of there was a TV cut of Nick Anderson over there talking to him. So sometimes a player coming over and trying to big you up and keep your confidence, and that might go a little bit further than a coach per se in that moment, right? But yeah, just because you didn't see it don't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, look, they pulled him before the half. They have the entire half to have that conversation with him. They probably didn't need to go and talk to him during the second half of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't know whether they did before the half or any of that other. I mean, obviously they talked to him enough to tell him he wasn't going back in the game.
Yeah.
But I don't think for any 1 second that there's a person that believes that you should believe that they all of a sudden hate Jackson Arnold. And I'm going to tell you, it's still not all Jackson's fault. Seth Luttrell has got his part of it. Joe John's got his part of it. The offensive staff in general, the offensive line, receivers dropping balls. There's lots of things that have conspired to what's happened right now. There's lots of things. The one true thing that we know is that, and you listen to the telecast, you know that Herbie didn't expect anything out of Watkins when he went in. Thought he was just going to be a runner. No. No. But and he called him 9 the whole time, which I don't know if that was by design or what, but it was kind of weird. The bottom line is there wasn't a lot of expectations there coming from even the national folks. He's that underrated, folks. He really is. By the end, they were like, damn.
Yeah.
All the same things are still going on. He's still running for his dear life. He's not making critically bad decisions. I think I still, even after watching it a bunch of times, I think that drive that he led before the half was as indicative of what I'm talking about, his poise, as anything. Because first snap, terrible snap. Somehow he gets a hand on it and falls on it. That could have been a turnover right there. Bad snap. And that was on Hickman. It wasn't on him. But he falls on it. But that's a negative play right off the bat. They talked about that on the telecast. Then you have what? He went and ran for it. He had a nice little run. Then they had another negative play, I believe. Then on third down, he's running to the sideline, getting chased, by the way. And but he breaks contain there as he's getting close to the sideline. It looked like from where I was sitting, and then on the TV too, it kind of looked like, well, he probably could have got that first down, right? What's he do though? He steps out of bounds. Okay, fine. I'm good with that. There's less than a minute left. You want to try to pin them. You don't want to put your defense in a position where you turn the football over right there by throwing it against your body, across your body or whatever, or doing something crazy. He didn't even think of it. Now, we know he's not afraid to put his body on the line. I heard people around me going, oh, well, that's great. And I was like, it is great. We can get out of the half. No more damage.
Yeah.
It's a better decision. That was a poised, smart decision. And sometimes we don't get all the context of everything that's going on. But to me, even sitting in the stands was like, I don't care. Let him warm up to this thing, and not making a stupid decision is what tells me this kid's got poise, because a lot of people would come in and want to get it all back right now and make another mistake. And now the offense is again in your territory with under a minute left, but they don't need much time to get there.
Yeah, you could tell he got more and more comfortable each series that he had, and he's got good poise, and I think he recognizes when it's not there. He sees it quick, and he's going to throw it out of bounds or give some ground to give himself some room to throw it out of bounds, or just he's making the right play to and being able to live to fight another down, and that's impressive for a true freshman. It's really impressive, especially in a big moment like that, nationally televised game, SEC, still fighting, and he showed us that he's capable, and in those big moments, and hopefully we can continue that.
Yeah. Again, I just think that it was clear what was going on and broadcast related. I agree. I don't even, the whole world knows Herbie's dog, but he can't get a name right. It's in front of you, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
I like Herbie, actually. I don't have a problem with Herbie, but
Yeah.
I just think in the end, guys, you know what? I'm looking at this here. We've had over 1,200 viewers. We don't even have 75 likes. You guys shitting me? Come on. Hit the like button.
Hit that.
You don't like it, the Big Mike's here? We've had Coach Ricks. Come on.
Hit that like. Hit that like, bro.
We're talking about what you guys want to talk about. You know?
Yeah.
Shit. Look. Mike thinks faster than JA, and you can clearly see it. Yeah, and look, it's not. He processes things very well. You got to remember, he's also working with Kyler Murray's dad, Kevin Murray, all the time. He kind of went through. I know that there's a lot of people that had thought, I had said this last year, that I thought if he ever got an opportunity that he may never give it back, right? Because I saw the talent there. I've watched, 55 touchdowns to 3 turnovers in his senior season at Emerson. And Emerson is a 4-year-old school at the time. There's no way they should be on the field even with South Oak Cliff. And they gave him all they wanted in the semifinal. There's no way they get there without him. In the end,
go ahead. Finish it. My bad.
No, I was just saying that this is a guy that you could see that he's a little different, right? But as a junior, he struggled. There were some struggles there, and now we know that there was some crazy shit going on at Allen too, I think. So a lot of that had to do with that too. But he went from, as a junior, he was really good. But they played against J.A. and Denton Geyer and got smacked, and he got outplayed. But I think he kind of used that as his turning point or whatever. J.A. hadn't had to have his tough time yet. I mean, they lost in the championship games, and it's not easy to win them, and I'm sure that was hard, but like, he was always looked at as he's still that dude. It wasn't like he played terribly or anything like that in those games. He's always been the guy that was the guy since he got on the field. I think this is new to him, so he's going through a struggle. We're going to see how he responds. Again, in this age of college football, it may be somewhere else, and I hate that, but I don't think you go back unless there's an injury situation. You can't go back to Jackson at this point. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I agree. And when you're struggling, man. And it only exacerbates and makes things worse. Not seeing things, everything's faster. You're making the wrong plays. You're making the wrong decisions. And we've seen. This is my opinion. I went to a couple spring practices, and the Jackson I'm seeing out on the football field right now is not the same one that I saw in the spring, and even in the spring game. Yeah, there was a couple late balls in the spring game or whatever, but other than that, man, he played pretty well and looked good. And I just think, he's a little gun shy right now, and I think it may be best for him, and I think it is, and it's best for him to sit down. And watch and reset. He needs a hard reset, bro. And I think it's going to be good for him. And I think he'll come back better. He'll come back stronger. Hey, and I've said this before, man. Not everything is just going to go your way. Not everything's going to be handed to you. Not everything's going to be gifted to you. Tough times make tough men. And this dude is going through it right now, right? And
yeah.
It's going to make him better. And I hope it's with Oklahoma, but you never know. And it is what it in this day and age. It is what it is. These kids got options, and I'm here for it. And
oh, come on, don't. Yeah, there's a million coaches that would love to have him right now. There was guys that wanted him coming out. I mean, this is the market for the kid. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I would also still say that. Yeah, I mean, look, how many quarterbacks they stay at the same place that they start at? We could go all the way back to Baker and Kyler here. We can. Trevor Knight. And this was before the portal, folks.
Yeah.
Right? This is before the portal that was going on. It's been going on since then. Quarterbacks, it's been going on. Look, we're in a microwave society right now. You get your shot or you go along, move along. The fact that he stayed last year and waited on Dylan, he wasn't going to wait again. He was either going to, and Dylan wasn't going to take the chance of not winning the job either, because he knew what was behind him. The truth is, though, he lost somewhere in between there. He lost that after the bowl game. You know, I heard Teddy talking about that. He felt like he heard a little, and he let it get to him a little bit. And look, hard times do make hard men. Easy times make soft people. But to win an Natty, you got to go through some hard shit.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to go through some hard shit. And that's just all there is to it. One loss does not end this thing. I'm not going to tell you that they look great for the national championship right now. They look like we know where they are and who they are right now. And if they can get improvements in the key places that they need to, and you're going to have some contributions from some young guys, they can make a run at the playoff. That's what I would tell you. I still think that I mean, Mizzou showed that I've been right about them for a while. They should have lost to Vandy. I mean, look, Ole Miss, we don't know anything about Ole Miss because they ain't played nobody. In Texas is the same thing. Same thing. We don't know anything about Texas yet. I think that Texas is not as good on defense as they think they are. I think their offense is pretty good, no matter what. And we knew that coming in. But they're not proven any more than what Oklahoma is either. We know that what we saw this week from Oklahoma, you got to get better from there. You have a starting point, though. And now you have a place to go from. We saw some positive things that we had not seen for 3 weeks prior to this. And you can say that they took their foot off the gas. I'm going to tell you it's bullshit. It doesn't even matter. Mizzou is trash. Agreed. I've been saying that. Been saying it, bro.
Look at that one of I'm a free man.
Charles Cole.
That's right.
That's a coach. That's a coach right there. That deserves.
You know what, guys? In a nice way, fuck y'all. We don't give a shit.
Hey,
shout out to Coach Roy.
Can you click on T Boomer? I'll answer that question right above that one. I am the parent of a player on the team. That is a fact. And you know, if you're the parent of a player on a team, and if they start Jay this weekend, how would that make you feel? It wouldn't make me feel any type of way, to be honest with you, because you know that coaching staff, they paid their dues, and if that's the decision that they want to make, they're entitled to it, and they can make that decision. It doesn't make me feel any type of way. And I try not to get mixed up in it, man. I try to just, you know, not play both sides of the fence or lay in the middle, but like that's the coaching decision, man. I'm not a coach. I just, you know, I root for the team. I root for my son. I root for all the players. And look, man, I'll go back to this example in college football, right? Let's talk about when Jalen Hurts got benched for Tua, right? Like, to me, that was one of the greatest stories in the history of college football about perseverance, sticking with it, getting better, and improving. And granted, it was over a longer time frame than it would be in this week turnaround. But dude, when Jalen Hurts got his time to come back in the game,
that was a great story. It turned into a great story a year later. That was freaking amazing.
He looked like a different quarterback, and he got better. And you know, like, if Jay got to play again, like, dude, I think it's a great opportunity, and it can only help. And like, if they played, like, if they started Jay this weekend, I wouldn't be any different. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but I wouldn't be any different, man, because it's a team game, and everybody's got to be better around Jackson Arnold. And just like you're implying that this whole team struggle is because of Jackson Arnold, which is the biggest misconception about football, period. Like, the dude, it's a team game. It's the ultimate team game. I said it earlier, and he needed help. He can't do it all by himself. And you know, if you're trying to do it all by yourself and you're pressing, you see exactly what happens. You make bad decisions, you turn the ball over, and it doesn't work out very well. He needs help. It's not all Jackson, man. If you guys just want to pin it all on Jackson, I think you're mistaken. And I think you need to do a better job of paying attention to how football really works.
Thank you. I appreciate that part of the statement more than anything else. Is that I think we try so hard as fans because, and especially Sooner fans are chomping at the bit for another championship, and rightfully so. I'm one of them. I get it. We all want to see it. We all want to see it, guys. You don't microwave the shit, and things are going to happen. It's never going to. In order for you to win a championship, you got to go through what Bishop Frank calls the fire test. You got to go through it. You're going to have to go through some stuff. And in life, we got to go through some stuff. Do we not? We all have to go through something. Appreciate this respect the players and their families. Appreciate everybody. Look, man, trash talk is trash talk. There's some that's been crazy trolling a little too much, right? That is what it is. But I would tell you that I'm not sure you could handle Jay going to USC and becoming the best quarterback in the nation. Listen, that's one thing. I've never said anything bad about Lincoln when it comes to coaching quarterbacks. I think that he made a mistake with the way that he handled the Heisman Trophy winner coming back last year because he should have handled that. And I think that you're seeing that from Caleb now. Caleb's going through some shit right now. It happens.
He balled yesterday, though. Balled.
Well, they needed him to. But the thing is he did ball. But he's still doing a lot of that same stuff that he's having to learn and go through it, man. And they all have to, guys. They all have to at some point. CJ Stroud kind of went through it in college where he had to deal with some stuff that, that he wasn't considered the best quarterback in that draft. Who do you think was? It wasn't. He was the best one. And, but he had to go through some shit too.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the Steelers, my mom and I, when I got back last night, and look at Justin Fields. He's getting an opportunity, and he's playing pretty damn good.
No. Yeah. Shit. I mean, Steven Stroud struggled yesterday. Baker struggled yesterday. It's a week-to-week league. It happens. Yeah. It's a week-to-week league. Yeah.
They're all that fucking good. Even the worst teams, they're all are full of guys that are all that good.
Yep. I don't think the Aggie NIL can afford Jackson Arnold there, but even though that'd be sweet, I'd like it.
I don't know, bro.
I don't think the A Mountain Collective can.
NMSU Aggie no.
Yeah. Somebody made a comment in there. I don't know if he was talking about us, but when you say Aggie, I think of New Mexico State, not Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm doubting. I don't know that he was talking about NMSU Aggie. I think you're definitely right about that because they couldn't. I mean, you couldn't keep Diego around, and that pisses old Sanchez off.
Yeah, well, I think when
that was your teammate too, right? Sanchez, you played with him too, right?
He left before I got there. He was a GA
right before he got there. Yeah,
he left right before I got there.
Mm-hmm. And now he was at Bishop Gorman, and then got the UNLV job when I was in Vegas. Still, I mean, that was a while back though.
Yeah,
he was. I mean, Bishop Gorman, man, he had them humming.
They were rolling.
I mean, yeah, man, and he gets the recruiting side. They'd struggled. The UNLV. I tell you had to have a guy, kind of a journeyman type of dude like they got to go there and just somebody that you don't make excuses. You just go make hay.
Yeah.
And I think same thing with like Coach Keel and those guys that have been in Mexico State the past couple of years. They just went and got it done.
Where are they at right now?
Yeah, they're at Vanderbilt. Yeah. Is there no, there's no two ways around it. With Pavia and those guys, that's why Vandy's doing what they're doing. People want and look, shout out to Clark Lee for hiring them. Smart. Way to go. You had to get those guys. And they're willing to change the things that they got to change up. I loved it. Yeah. They'd have to mortgage the university. They'd have to give them the Pan American Center.
Yeah, it's land grant university, so I don't know if there's any mortgaging in there.
Right. Yeah, they just have to give them the deed to the Pan Am Center or an Aggie Memorial.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's funny.
Yeah, as far as what we were talking about, what's up there, Rusty? Oh, you are. Oh no, I didn't realize it was coming from Rusty. This is another NMSU guy. So he's
Oh, all right, yeah. See,
yeah.
I felt that was the vibe. You know, I felt like that's what that
Rusty
was meant for me.
Shackelford. I didn't see you in there, Rusty. What's up, my guy?
Yeah, I felt that was the vibe, man. Aggie up, let's go, guns
Funny
up.
shit. That's some funny
I
shit.
might have to make a call, man. I still got a couple connects down there. I might have to make a call and tell them to put a package together for old JFA. See if we can
There
get
you
him.
go. There you go. Figure it out.
That's if he does jump in the portal. That's if, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
I'm not gonna say it is. I'm gonna say it is. It is. It's probably gonna happen unless something else happens. And look, in the end, well, I wouldn't be surprised at anything that happens. That's the whole deal. You can't be surprised at anything that happens in modern day college football. It's not the same thing. We get it. We understand that not everybody loves it. We understand, but it also it's kind of wild, right? It just is what it is. In the end, I believe that this could be a turning point for Oklahoma. We'll see what it does with this year, and they still have a tough ass schedule coming ahead of them. You know, I predicted 9-3, 10-2 at the best at the start of the year. I'm not off of that yet. I think that they got to do some other things, and you got to turn it around and be ready for Auburn this week. This is your first road game in the SEC. You can't start 0-2. You got to go get it done. Yeah. With this defense, I'll continue to say this. With this defense, and this was one of the biggest things that I wanted to say about it, this defense gives you an opportunity to win every week. There's not a lot of offenses that are going to be out there more powerful than what you just saw from Tennessee. I just can't even imagine that there is. There's also not going to be D lines out there week to week to week that are going to be as good as the one we just saw from Tennessee. That's a good fucking football team. Are they better than Georgia? Probably not. Are they better than Alabama? Probably not. Not all the way around. Talent-wise, I don't know that they match up, but they might match up pretty damn well. We'll see. You got to see it first. You haven't really seen them do that yet. You've seen them beat Nick one time at home. They get them at home this year. I can see them winning one of those games. They're definitely in the running for the playoff, though. Definitely. I don't know what I think of Ole Miss. I think nothing of Mizzou. I don't think much of Texas. We all know that, and we know why. Horns down. But
the brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
Oh, yeah. Hey, no, I don't think so. I opened up Twitter, aka X. I'll never call it X. Sorry, Elon, but it's Twitter to me, bro.
It's Twitter, man.
And hey, Hugh Freeze was taking some heat out there, man, on Twitter this morning, man. They were woo.
Yeah, they're kind of sick of his ass. He keeps putting it on the players. He keeps putting it on.
Yeah, dude. Former players was giving it to him. That's not good, man. That's not good. Yeah, he was taking some heat, man.
He should.
And they're struggling, and we need to go down there and put it on them.
Oh yeah, yeah. You need to tip them over, bro. Tip them over now. They're on the edge of the. You need to just push them over the edge of the cliff because that's where they are, and you got an opportunity to do it. There's a reason why they have you coming in, and yeah, absolutely. You know, Sean D saying right here, they're imploding right now. The way Hugh Freeze has been throwing his players under the bus, I wonder how volatile that locker room will be. Hey, you punch them in the gut. First drive down there, or even on their first drive, you go out there and make a big play, make a big hit, turn them over. They're liable to quit on them right then and there.
Yeah, it does.
Because he's not sending the right message. And see, this is what I'm saying. You can look. Everybody's talked about Hugh Freeze as such a great coach coming in. He's maybe a piece of shit person, but he's a great coach. Look, you're only a great coach if your players play well for you. And if you're throwing them under the bus, how are you working that out? And like, look at the difference in how Venables could have destroyed J.A. for the way he was playing. He didn't.
Yep. Hey, it goes back to, Coach Venables is a leader, man. He is a leader. He is a leader of men. And it's about development with him, and he knows that that is a recipe for a strong culture and a strong team. And he's not going to go. That's just not who he is. It's never been him. He is not going to go roast somebody to the media or one of his players. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, man. It is not going to. Who's the first? Well, we had that conversation.
I
We
still
had that
think
conversation last week about Napier, and he made it out. They stuck him around. I want
Well-
to see. Hey, I seen this on Twitter. I want to see. It's a Florida State, Napier and Norvell. Whoever loses gets
Norvell.
fired. Yeah, I want to see that, dude. I need an agreement
What a
between Florida and
precipitous
Florida
fall
State.
for
That has
Norvell
to
too,
happen.
right? Yeah, what a
That has to
precipitous fall for Norvell too, though, right?
God, it's unbelievable. I've met him. We took a visit there. He's a motivating guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's a good coach. They got a good staff, but I don't know, man. When things ain't working, man. They ain't working, and it's not working down there, man.
Kimberly K, I'd love to have Damian Mackey on this show. And in fact, I have talked to him. I've talked to Barry and Mac. Mackey, well, Barry's been on the show before, and Mackey said he'll come on. I need to reach out again. But I absolutely would. What I don't want to talk about is Kel Gundy, folks. I just don't want to do the Kel Gundy thing.
Yeah. I like Mackey. I like listening to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem for FSU as well, is that this is the danger of living too heavy in the portal, right?
Yeah.
Same thing we saw at USC when that's how you get all your players, seeing it at Colorado, right? When this is how you depend on getting all your players, it's easier to lose them, man. You know that they're a little more on the mercenary side if it's second, third time or what, and sometimes even on the first timer guys. I think one of the best things I've ever heard anybody say about this whole deal is that Shoddy from Just My Damn Opinion, who's on here, and I've been giving him shit all day, but it came to him because he's been giving it to me. Anyway, Shoddy said though, if you land them on the bag, you lose them to the bag. Yeah. If that's all you're about, that's what you're going to lose them to. Yeah. And I think you got to be careful with that. I'm not saying that's what FSU is about, but I'm saying FSU is definitely a heavy portal team. And I mean, that couldn't get their second string quarterback to hang around for the bowl game, the Orange Bowl game of all places, because of it. And I mean, they're playing back-to-back national champions that had been on a 29-game win streak until getting beat by Alabama in the Orange Bowl. Your argument for being one of the best four teams could have been bolstered by going out there and playing that game and not losing 63-3 because all your guys are gone. I don't think that their culture is worth a shit at FSU. I don't care what anybody says. I just don't. There's a difference there. You can go through some shit on places that, man, you're all in it together, and they know you're all in it together. Mm-hmm. But if you're getting promises to guys about being a starter at some point, that backup was a 5-star, by the way.
What's his name? I can't remember who that was.
I'm trying to remember what the hell it was either, but I just remember them talking about that. Either a really high 4-star or a 5-star guy. Stud though, right?
He knew what was coming. He's like seeing everybody leaving. He's like, I'm gonna be the starter quarterback against Georgia. No, thank you. He saw that. He saw it right on the wall. He didn't want no parts of that.
No doubt. And to answer the question of why do I think Billy's still there right now? Because he won last week, first off, and they won heavily, and GJ Lagway played well, and I think they're still working that out, how they're going to keep DJ around.
Yeah.
I think they're still trying to work that out. And if you fire him right now, he can leave, and they're going to get people to leave. Make no mistake, Billy's gone. He's gone. That ship has sailed. I don't know that Mike Norvell's gone. Or Jay Norvell. No, it's Jay Norvell or Mike. Which one? Now I'm getting them mixed up, huh? Mike.
Right?
Yeah, Mike.
I don't think Coach Norvell's leaving this year.
I don't think he's leaving yet. No. They just re-upped him. They just re-upped him. Supposedly he was offered the Alabama job. If you listen to FSU fans, I don't listen to FSU fans, but Watkins 3 or 4-star. It depends on which recruiting service you're looking at. Yeah. But he was definitely criminally underrated. Underrated.
Agreed.
So was Jaden Jackson. So was Michael Boganowski Jr. So was a lot of guys that are in that recruiting class. Yeah. A lot.
And listen, if there's one thing that I do know about how Oklahoma recruits, man, they're not they don't get enamored by the stars, right? They're just not recruiting stars. They're looking for their type of player, and they're looking for a player that fits into their culture and system. And if that player happens to be a 5-star, by all means, they're trying to get him. You know what I mean? If that player is a 3-star, guess what? They're going to try to get him. And they're looking for their type of players that fit the culture, scheme, and the system. And they're doing a good job of recruiting. And, man, I think it's going to pay off in a big way. It's going to pay off in a big way. Now you're still going to have a couple kids that, you know, go in the portal because they want to play. And I don't fault them for that, but it's not going to be a bad split, right, between the player and the university. Oklahoma's going to do their best to, you know, give them the tape and help them land on their feet. And, you know, it's a great coaching staff, man. And they're just going to they're going to continue to do a great job. And hopefully we can keep them all around because people are going to try to poach them.
And this is what we've talked about with Bill Bedenbaugh. There's still a lot of people that are talking about firing Bill Bedenbaugh, which I'm like, are you insane? You're bitching about him not recruiting 5-star guys, which is still stupid, number one, because all you got to do is look at NFL contracts. Look at the contracts and then tell me what he is. Tyler Guyton was a bench-warming defensive tackle on a shitty TCU team before he got to Oklahoma. He left as a first-round draft pick who starts as a rookie in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, but it's a fact. The Chiefs, they've had a couple of guys that were Bill Bedenbaugh guys, and they made one of them the highest-paid center in the history of the game.
Yeah. Yep. And guess what? What was Creed coming out of high school?
3-star. 3-star. Yes.
Hey man, I'm not big.
So was Orlando Brown.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm that big on recruiting.
Lane Johnson was a fucking quarterback in JUCO, brother.
Yeah. And hey man, like those guys get it. It's fun. We look at it. We pay attention to it, but I don't take too much stock in it, man. Like it's, you know, it is what it is. And hey man, listen. I would have probably been a 4-star, high 4-star, maybe if we could go back and like look at what happened, you know, back in the late 90s when I was coming out. They didn't have that stuff, but guess what, bro? I'd have been a 4-star easy. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah, look, I mean, I get that.
I always mess around with people like that. Like, hey, can we go retroactively? Like, you know,
right?
Give me a ranking.
I'll put it to you this way, and I'm not a fan of this guy, but let's just talk. Brian Urlacher. We played against him in high school. Junior high and high school. I know him well. Don't like him much, but I know him. Hall of Famer. He didn't have a star. Then nobody gave a shit about him. He lived 100 miles from Lubbock. That knew Zach Thomas, loved Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas loved him. He couldn't get those guys to look in his direction. Period. Not even at all. New Mexico State didn't look in his direction at all. The only scholarship offer he got was to UNM. He played every fucking position but quarterback there pretty much. You were there during that time.
Mm-hmm.
They were good. Kirk Robbins has been in here in the chat. He was one of the receivers there at UNM.
Yeah.
F a Lobo, by the way. But I'm just kidding, Kirk. No, Kirk's one of my buddies from Artesia as well. Great receiver. I mean, look, he was kind of small, but I mean, he's got, I think, every receiving record in Artesia history, which is insane to even talk about. You want to talk about speed? Holy shit! It didn't work out for him so much at UNM because they didn't throw the ball. It would have been great for him to go to a place like Texas Tech. Could have possibly been a guy like a Julian Edelman type of dude, right? Because he was little, but nobody, even Julian wasn't as fast as this guy. In the end, some of these guys, I mean, they fall through the cracks, guys. They just do. Some people fall through the cracks. And the point being is we know what kind of, and look, if you're just recruiting on stars, we also know what that does to you. And if it's money and stars and that's all you care about, Jimbo Fisher, yeah, he sold a bag of goods to some of those guys. They're not all still there. They're not all still there.
And you got some of these kids out here that that play multiple sports, and they can't do the camp circuit. They can't do all that stuff because they're playing basketball, baseball, running track, wrestling, whatever it is. So, a lot of these kids that specialize in football, they get the upper hand in that and getting themselves out in front of the proper people and the people that rank them. You know what I mean? And it's a game. And I don't know if I understood that game. Yeah. It 100% costs money. And I didn't understand that part of the game until late in the recruiting and how all that stuff kind of worked. And I mean, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of three-sport athletes. I'm a big fan of kids going out there competing on different playing fields. I'll tell you that. And that doesn't get, I don't think that gets, counted enough in rankings. But yeah, these, it is what it is. And, rankings, they are what they are. But at the end of the day, like once you leave high school, nobody cares about it anymore. It's about what you can do in college and getting better as a player and hopefully moving on. It's all based on where you're going to get drafted, right? After college. Man, okay.
Yeah, and that's the whole, you start talking about that a little bit. I mean, look, if you know how to play the camp game, somebody in here said he didn't go, he didn't do well in a couple of camps, talking about Hawkins. He didn't do a bunch of camps either. He works with Kyler Murray's dad, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and Kevin doesn't work with just anybody. Kevin doesn't just work with anybody. Just so we understand this, he could work with anybody the hell he wants anytime.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a reason. And we're talking Kyler Murray never lost a high school football game in Texas 6A. Never will happen again. Never will happen again. That's insane. It's insane.
Multi-sport guy too.
Multi-sport guy, but also, and yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we all thought that he was still going to go to the Major League Baseball because he was a first-round pick. He was the top 10 pick or top 15, whatever it was. And then he was number one. And I mean, baseball's a great sport to play, to go pro in, man. I mean, completely guaranteed contracts.
Yeah, less wear and tear on your body.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Kyler Murray, like there's people throw around elite a lot, right? There's a lot of elite. Like when you're talking about like Kyler Murray is in that elite of the elite class of athletes, dude. That dude is a freak show. He is the elite of the elite. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude, it's on another level crazy. That was the kind of thing. And really, there are decent. I think that comparison is the thief of joy as well. I don't love doing big comparisons to old players that played here. If there is a guy, I think that Jamel may be a better, although Jamel couldn't throw it like Hawkins can. So I understand saying Kyler, and he works with his dad. And I mean, you can see traits there speed wise, but I mean, look, until you go and do that, what Kyler did, then you're not that guy yet. So again, we could pump the brakes a little, but you can see the amazing athleticism here. And Boom Squad, what you just said about Guyton being a first-round pick might be the dumbest thing I've seen in here today. And Fight On and Ben G are both here. And
hey, where's that at? I didn't see that.
Might be the dumbest thing I've seen.
God, that is pretty bad.
Figure it out, folks.
That's pretty bad.
No, I did not. No, I did not. We played in southeastern New Mexico, borderline of Texas. No, I did not. Played in a good program though. You're not a football brainiac.
Hey man, like when you watch Tyler Guyton and you watch his pass set, like it's different, dude. It's like he's floating and it is so fluid. And do people see that and they just start
How come nobody
drooling?
else
You
saw
know,
that though? How come
NFL
they had it?
scouts, like,
Nobody else saw it.
I don't know.
Just
Dude's
Big
elite.
Bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, man.
First round.
Yep. That's something else, man. That is something else. That's it. Hey, you know what? He's like,
we can listen to these coaches a little more than we worry about what 247 on 3. And I mean, we've talked about this a lot. You and I have talked about this a lot, Big Mike.
yeah.
What they say on 247 and on 3 don't mean shit compared to what the guys that are coaching these dudes up say. Especially when they put that kind of, you're talking about that kind of money that is it. Just count the contracts. Don't tell me the dude don't know what the fuck he's looking at or doing as a coach. And here's another thing. Don't forget that you guys are talking about, you're basing this a lot on when Lincoln was here. And don't forget that those guys got smaller and smaller and smaller every year because of Benny Wiley. If there was a drop off from when they won the Joe Moore Award, why do you think that is? It's a context, gentlemen.
That the
context. Shit.
Was that the strength trainer that had him doing goat yoga? Is that who that was?
Tybo.
I'm just kidding. I know it wasn't goat yoga. All right, I'm just
similar.
Don't
Tybo yoga. We call him the yoga instructor. That's fair game here.
Yeah, beer yoga. That's my favorite.
Yeah, and we get to hear from one of my favorite USC creators, and my favorite. He's a tool. Was trying to tell me about a guy on USC's team. Stick's not a stick anymore after going into the year 2 last year, and I told him he was full of shit. And I mean, I hit the nail on. In fact, they actually did me one better. I picked them to go 8-4 last year with the Heisman win. Everybody thought I was nuts. They went 7-5. They're going to go 8-4 again. How do you lose that game to Michigan? How indeed? You be soft up the middle.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it. All the satellite feeds went out at all the tailgates. I mean, you saw it, but yeah, I didn't get to watch it, and I haven't gone back and watched. I mean, I watched the highlights, but you don't really get the context of the game and what was really happening. But yeah, I mean,
is there a drop off in year 3? There's a lot of reasons for this, guys. Guys, think about this for a second. The things have changed a lot, and I would tell you that I don't know how great he did in talent evaluation from the portal this year. But guys, how many offensive line coaches in the country have won a Joe Moore Award? How many that stay as offensive line coaches? It just doesn't. It's not something that happens all the time.
What does he mean in drop off? Drop off in what? Like,
I don't know exactly what he's talking about here. I think again, we never get a lot of context. You start grasping at every little straw that you can look for to whatever, because these narratives are out there all the time. They've been talking about firing fucking Joe John for 2 years, and they were talking about the same thing with Coach Chavis, when all he's done is recruit PJ out of Barway. He's turned Ethan Downs into a freaking monster.
I mean, that Ethan Downs, like he's not getting like the big splash plays and the tackles and the sacks, but dude, he is stout and he's playing well, man. What he's doing really well is not showing up on the stat sheet. And dude, he's just he's a good player, and he's just not getting the credit, and it gets overlooked. He's playing really well. I
Yeah,
wish he would have got them being able to scoop and score that one on that strip sack, that first strip sack. Man, I thought he was going to pick it up and go.
shit, no doubt. I'm just saying that, but I mean, look, there's these little things, and they were talking about firing Todd Bates before this year. Whenever he was able to get Stoney and Jaden Jackson, and Jaden Jackson was not that high guy. You know what? If just Jaden would have come, which probably wouldn't have happened because you needed Stoney to get him. If just Jaden would have come, y'all would have wanted to fire his ass, and Jaden's the guy that's starting. There's people,
man.
not y'all. I'm not saying everybody in the chat right here, but there's a segment of fans. These narratives go around. It don't make you guys right. It don't make you right.
Listen, man, Coach Bates,
Son of a bitch.
Todd Bates, like that dude. Let me tell you something. Here's the only way you can call for him to be fired is not knowing him, right? You have no idea who he is. You have no idea who he is. You have no
Dude,
idea.
I know that's
how
the other
big
part
of
of
a
it. What an
motivator.
amazing person. Yes.
Dude, he is, dude. Listen, man, I love seeing Coach Bates. Like he is a good guy. He is a motivator, and he's a straight shooter, man. And dude, like if you knew Coach Bates, like you wouldn't be calling for his job. He is instrumental in recruiting. Like, listen, man, like when they were recruiting my son, you know, Mike's a safety. Coach Bates was like, dude, Coach Bates was all over it. Dude, Coach Bates is, listen, man, I was like, you know, it was one of the only schools, you know, it's like one of the only schools that had multiple like coaches recruiting. You know what I mean? Like with Coach Bates and Coach Hall and Coach Venables, you know, like it was, dude, Coach. I can't say enough about Coach
So
Bates,
people
man.
don't say enough about Brandon Hall or Jay Valai.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man, like these dudes, like that's why when I see people calling, maybe I, you know, my relationships are a little too strong with them or whatever, but like calling for, you know, getting them fired, like you have to realize, man, they're recruiting 17-year-old kids. You know what I mean? Like they change their mind with every swipe on their phone right now, right?
And
it's
hard. This is new for everybody, by the way. Right? I mean, they're supposed to just fall off the turnip truck with everybody else in NIL and know how to fucking do it right away and work it to where you can not only get, you got to balance that, recruit your problems versus, you know, doing the right thing pay wise. You got to pay, and we know that, but there's a balance there. Some of these, and Venable says it all the time, some of these guys that you think we're missing, we're not after them.
Yeah.
We're intentional with what we do.
Yeah. Yep.
People don't want to believe that shit.
That's hey man, that's real. And that is real, like that's real shit. Sorry. You know, I'll leave you cussing up to you most of the time. That's real shit. That's real shit, bro.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. Hey, I'm all about F-bombs. I just have a hard time doing it in public. I gotta come out of my
No. Hey, listen, you do how you do it. I have a problem with saying the F word.
No, I listen. I've been in the military 20 years, man. It flows like water, but for some reason I'm able to hold my tongue.
I didn't last 20 years in the military. It flows like water, though.
Yeah, I do a little bit better.
Yeah, you were an officer too. You had to learn that part, right?
Yeah.
But you were enlisted first, though, right? And then became.
No, I enlisted the whole 20. I enlisted the whole 20.
Oh, you were enlisted the whole 20.
Yeah,
I thought you weren't an officer.
No, that was the plan, man. That was the plan.
Oh,
I was gonna do 4 years and then become an officer, but it took me a short time to realize like I wasn't an officer type dude. Not in that material. Even though I had a college degree, it'd have been easy. Like it just wasn't it wasn't a fit.
Oh, so you were a sergeant major. I was thinking you were a major. You were a sergeant major. Is that correct?
No, I never made the sergeant major. I chose to retire. I didn't go to the
Okay.
academy. I chose to
I don't
retire.
know why it
So
is that
was
why
E8
I thought
master
you
sergeant.
were an
Yeah.
E8 master sergeant. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
did my
Swear
company
I
for a
saw
certain
that
time,
somewhere, but
all that stuff. But yeah, so listen, if I would have went to the sergeant major academy, um, I would be
you
missing
probably
out
do another
on
10 years anyway, right? At least another 10.
it's roughly another 5, and
Uh-huh.
there'll be a couple deployments in there. And listen, man, I'm not missing college football, especially with my son playing. Like I wouldn't have been able to handle that. I'd have been crazy. I'd have been irritable. I'd probably got fired because
Yeah.
I just like I couldn't see myself being overseas during football season. You know what I mean? Like Mike's first 2 years of high school, I was in California at Fort Irwin, and I was watching everything on YouTube, and I couldn't handle it.
Oh,
Like
dude.
I could not handle it, and it would only been greater in a bigger problem if I him playing college football
Oh,
and I'm
bro.
over in Europe or Korea or somewhere. Like not gonna happen.
Bro, I'm with
So
you.
I chose to get out. The timing was perfect. Everything was great.
Everything happens
I had
for a
a
reason too, right? Everything
better
happens
choice
for
for
a
the
reason.
family, man. Better choice for the family.
Sure. Your wife was military also, yes?
Nope, not at all.
No?
My wife's no,
See,
she's
I'm 0
civilian.
for 2. 0 for 2, man. I thought I knew more about you. I guess I don't.
Nope. No, met my wife in Nashville, when I was
Awesome.
stationed at Fort Campbell, like the first, I think it was like first, second weekend I was there. But yeah.
Yeah? Cool. Well, listen, I
No,
mean, I love it that you come in and talk to us about this stuff. And there's definitely all this stuff. But Benji, one more time. I'm saying this again to you guys. You continue, you can sit here and throw out these little nuggets and stuff and try to badmouth what they're guys, there's injuries. Why are we blaming this on anybody? It's an injury. Injuries happen in football. It's a fucking game of injuries.
those years, man. One of those years.
It just is. And look, maybe that he always gets them coached up. They were coached up good enough to fight off DeAndre Sweat and Byron Murphy last year. Y'all can say what you want. Kyle Flood ain't the guy. He's not the guy compared to Big Bill. He's not.
Yeah.
Let's just be real about it. He
Yeah.
recruits a little. You could say he recruits a little better. He was at Alabama. It's probably kind of easy to do.
Yep. Yeah.
It's not about him. And I'm about to boot your ass out for this one. Get out.
Deuces.
Deuces.
Hey, if you ain't been to South Korea, man, go to South Korea. It's amazing. South Korea is amazing. It's a great place. Great food, great culture. It's amazing.
Yeah. I didn't never get that deployment. Didn't ever get that. And that was because it was a remote deployment. Is it still like that? They just do it as a remote rotation.
Yeah, it's a rotation.
Year long? Yeah, that's how it was for the Air Force too. That's how it was for us too. But
hey, what was that? Osan Air Base?
Mhm.
That place was nice. I used to be out there golfing on that air base. I was golfing every week. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man, because there's so little land in that area that they don't have a lot of golf courses.
They're all private.
Crazy. They don't have a lot of golf courses there.
Yep, they're all private. All the golf courses outside of the military bases are private.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they play golf out there in driving ranges that are inside of buildings is basically what they do.
Hey, those golf simulators. Hey, listen, man, those golf simulators are the real deal. Like, this was what, in 2016, 2017. Like the floor of the golf where you're hitting emulates the contour of the course, right? So if like you're on a slope, the floor elevates, or if you're on, got a lie to the left or to the right. Yeah, man, it's amazing. I was blowing my mind. And you can drink beer in there and play golf. That's a great time.
Oh,
great time.
Well, thanks for your service, Fight On. I didn't even realize that, but that makes sense. Now the Fight On part makes sense. Other than it's still a USC. Thanks for your service, Marine. I'll put that in there. Yeah, man. There's a lot. I've been to some of these places though, like Ramstein. Awesome. There's some cool places, man. There's some cool places from the from the military that different parts of the world, but then there's some that aren't. Been those places too. You know, there were some places that sucked for sure. The desert kind of sucked. You know,
there's not kind of. Ain't nothing fun about that place.
there's a reason they call it the suck. But yeah, man, it's a different deal. But yeah, appreciate your service, bud. All right, so here's what we're gonna get at this, and this is what I want to go ahead and end on this. Guys, the main thing that I wanted to make this video for, I'm really glad that Big Mike came in. I wish Coach Ricks would have been able to pop back in. I think they were having some issues with his internet because he said it went out the first time. I'm sure that's what it was because he was enjoying the conversation too. But guys, it's easy to look at this as if this was a bad weekend. Nobody likes losses. Shit, I made the trip out there. I mean, Big Mike's making the trip all the time, but I made that trip out there and it cost money to do so. I wasn't expecting them to lose. I didn't want them to lose. I enjoyed the game. I give a lot of props to the fan base for being as loud as it was there. I mean, great atmosphere the whole way around. The Tennessee fans were even pretty cool, aside from when they thought, you know, they were faking some injuries and stuff like that. Was what it was. But look, a lot of fun. And that's part of it. That's part of it. We had a lot of good. I thought the Tennessee fans were cool that were in attendance. They were. I got sick of that damn song. I'll be real. I got sick of that song. Rocky Top. I heard enough. But I would like to go to Neyland next year and check it out there as well. And I'm a big fan. They're big fans of me out there. So, you know, me and you, as a matter of fact, Big Mike. You know, that one's over 80,000 TikTok and like 15, 16,000 here on YouTube.
Yeah. Nice. I'm glad I could be of entertainment.
It was definitely just for entertainment purposes. I'm not monetized on TikTok, so that means zero to me. But except that, you know, I got a lot of hell for it. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, man. You know, hey, as soon as that game, you know, mid fourth quarter, my phone started going off again, man. And people were, but whoever bookmarked it, man, they was letting me have it out there. Hey, man, you guys won. Like, was it as you guys thought it would be? No. And you have to realize that. You have to at least acknowledge that. And they didn't acknowledge that because, you know, everything I said.
They're not going to acknowledge it. No, they're not going to because they're being assholes, some of those folks. But I will say the ones that have been in here today, there's been a few of them.
I talked to so many great Tennessee fans. Yeah, man. They were a lot of fun. You know, a couple of them snuck into a couple tailgates they were in, and we were just like, yeah, whatever, man. You know, like, come on, have a beer, you know, whatever. But yeah, eat some food. It was good, man. It was a good time. You know, I had one person tell me about like this is probably the most hospitable game in an SEC environment they've ever been to. And you know, some of the stories that they were telling me about visiting other places, I was like, oh man, they kind of put me on alert, you know.
Really? I mostly hear that you, aside from, I mean, I guess it can get crazy. I know at LSU it's nutty, right? They say it's especially.
Well, yeah.
You start tailgating late in the day. I mean, they've been drinking since 5, anyways. You know, so it gets a little wild. From what I hear, I haven't experienced that myself, so I'm not going to guarantee that. But I hear this. But I hear places like the Grove and places like Auburn, fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to the Grove. That looks like a nice atmosphere. I've been to Auburn before, but the Grove looks like a cool spot.
Yep. The band show love to Frankie Beverly and of course Toby again. Yeah, they did, man. I checked a lot of that out. I've got a lot of footage that I had to mostly get it before the game. Man, my phone, I kept it plugged in, but when it's trying to get service as much as they are, it eats the phone alive immediately. So I should have turned it off, you know, in terms of like just turned off the Wi-Fi stuff or whatever I could because it wasn't grabbing anything anyway. And it just died quick. So I didn't have much as far as I got some stuff at the start, but I got no game action or anything like that. But I got a lot of other stuff. And look, if you're going to games, and this is the first time I've been to Norman in a while, I usually go to away games because I haven't lived close by up until these last couple of years, you know. Usually anytime I could get them close by, I would make it a point. And then you travel to the big games, bowl games and playoff games and things like that. That's what you try to get to. So
Yeah.
it'd been a while. I love going to the Palace. The Palace is fantastic. And I think it actually won over some of the Tennessee fans that are like, this is like half the size of Neyland. It's not half the size, but apparently it wasn't as
Well,
loud at Neyland in the last couple of years.
So the third quarter, Toby Keith tribute, everybody, the Oklahoma fans and you're kind of like, all right, we need to change it up. Dude, the Tennessee fans loved it. Like they loved it. Like so I had a big group sitting next to me and man, they were singing like, I kind of stopped singing after I think the last game I sung, but I didn't really sing this one. My voice was already, struggling. But yeah, man, they were singing and they loved it. They loved the drone show. Yeah, it was good.
Dude, very cool, right? The drone show's badass.
That was my first one I've ever seen. That was my first one I ever seen. That was pretty dope.
It's the first time I've seen one in person, but like when I saw it for the Super Bowl that year in LA, and I was like, what the hell? And I've watched a few on video or whatever since then, but I think that was the first one I've seen in person too. It was fucking cool. Really cool. It's pretty badass. But yeah, Neilio, absolutely. BYU fans are insanely cool. They really are. They really are. They can be crazy. They can be absolutely crazy. But I'm telling you, man, they're always really cool, man. They're good people. Good people. Much better than Utah fans, gotta say. After the whole realignment debacle, I gotta say I prefer BYU fans. Yeah. Only left the Grove a couple of times for games. Scotty, yeah, man. I get that. The Grove is pretty sick. So you're a Ole Miss guy. Cool.
I heard they can't barbecue in the Grove. Is that true?
Is that true? Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody told me that, and I was like, really? I was like, I figured like that'd be like, hey, air salt.
He's with the fifth.
Fifth group, Campbell.
Yeah, dude, this is a gangster right here.
My first 9 years was at Campbell, man. Campbell's an amazing place, man. I loved Fort Campbell. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your service, Clem. You're the man. I can't wait. Can't wait till you retire. Well, I hope. Can't wait till you get there. Can't wait
2 years, bud. Submit it. 2 years. Right in 2 years. Submit it.
There you go. Heck yeah, man. Get it done.
And go to the doctor.
Listen to the man. Listen to the man. I didn't make it that long. Hey, we're good to go. We're good to go, Timothy. Appreciate you, though. Appreciate you. Good to talk to you a little bit in here. Kerwin, what's up, my dude? Southern versus Prairie View halftime show is awesome. I'll send it to you. Man, I'm going to have to come down there and check out a game at Prairie View, too. That's the only thing. I haven't seen an HBCU game. Is the only one.
So my wife's been trying to get me to go to the Grambling Southern game. But man, I got kids playing on Saturdays. Like I didn't really make that. We have to wait till they get out and get done.
It's gonna be a while, right? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that at some point. Well, and see, like Kerwin and I, the reason I know him is through a buddy of mine in Vegas. But he's like my brother now. But we worked on the Otis Taylor for a Hall of Fame campaign together. This is kind of what got me back into doing this kind of stuff. We hadn't still gotten him in there yet, and I don't know the hell why. You know who Otis Taylor is, right? The wide receiver, former wide receiver at for the Chiefs. He's still probably the most popular Chief of all time until now, like Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey. But it's unfucking believable why he's not in the Hall of Fame. We're talking about a guy that talent-wise, he's the prototype wide receiver. The prototype wide receiver. The reasons he's not in are disgusting, and trivial at best. But we're talking about a guy that's, to me, the way that I look at it, and we've even developed a stat category for it to like actually compare stats fairly over eras, because I always say that comparing players over eras is the stupidest shit ever because they don't play the same game. And he didn't play the same game at all. But this guy had, with the stats, the way we look at it, he's like top 3 all time.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't have the numbers for it because there's no way he could have got the numbers for it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Good to see you. born in Oklahoma, a lot of family in Oklahoma. Then also went to Oklahoma after I finished at New Mexico State. So
That's how it happens.
grew up in New Mexico. And where we're at, the part of New Mexico I'm in is like oil field country.
Yep.
And a lot of Oklahoma folks end up in New Mexico or West Texas from Oklahoma oil field country as well. So it's just get a lot of people like that. Lenny Dawson, number 2, Otis. How does one get in without the other, Neilio? Yeah. Oh, but you're saying number 1 in the fans' hearts. Yeah. I tell you how many people, when I first started, I kind of got back onto Twitter because I hate Twitter. I got back onto Twitter because of that campaign, and I was blown away by the number of people that when it was brought up, that you just look up Otis Taylor and how many people are like, still my favorite Chief of all time. If you grew up during that time in the Chiefs' heyday in that, it's Otis. And they got a bunch of Hall of Famers from that era. They all loved Otis Taylor more than everybody. It seems like to me. There's a lot of them. Hey, thanks a lot. We appreciate you coming in, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good luck the rest of the way, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, I was born and raised in Nebraska, and that's the first time I ever heard somebody say Nebraska fans are awesome. No, I'm just kidding. Man.
I'll be honest with you.
Good.
I've been to a couple of Nebraska games. Most Nebraska and Oklahoma fans get along pretty good. There's just kind of a
there's a respect, man. There's a respect there. Now, Nebraska and Texas, that's hate. They don't like each other. But the Oklahoma, Nebraska, I always felt that there was a little bit more. That's kind of how I used to like Oklahoma. When I was growing up, I love watching Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I always thought
I got to meet Coach Osborne early in my career as a sports writer, and then I met him 5-6 years later, and he knew who I was. I was like,
dude, I'm going to tell you a great story.
Coach Osborne was. How can you not love that guy and respect him?
Hey, great story about Coach Osborne, right? So, I get to go. To Nebraska on a recruiting trip, right? And it was me and my mom, and we walked in, to the part right there, and to kind of, the little mingling area or whatever where all the coaches are. And this was like 96 maybe or something like 1996. And I walked in there, and for some reason Coach Osborne walked over to me and shook my hand, and he said, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" And I was like, "What? This motherfucker knows my name, bro." I'm like, I'm official, right? I was official. And, we're talking wherever. And then, after he leaves and I calm down a little bit, and I remembered, I looked down, I had my name tag. I had a name tag right here. And I was like, oh, no wonder I knew my name. I was like, damn. I was a 16-year-old, man. I was like,
Coach Roybal said the same thing about him. Coach Roybal said the same thing. Of course, Aaron, damn it. Neilio, give me his last name again. Aaron won the Outland Trophy. Shit. Coach Roybal coached him. Coach Roybal coached him at Wichita Falls Rider, and they couldn't get like TCU or Texas Tech or anybody to go after this guy. Nobody. Yeah. And Coach Osborne then took him, and he wins the Outland Trophy. Yeah. Aaron Taylor? Aaron Taylor? Is that right?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's right.
Let's Google that real quick.
Yeah, Google it up. I can't believe I forgot it, and it's going to piss me off right away. It is Aaron Taylor, my man. See, I did remember. It's Aaron Taylor, yeah. So he was not highly. I mean, nobody in Texas wanted him. He's a Texas kid. Nobody in Texas wanted him. Oklahoma apparently didn't want him, but they turned him into the Outland Trophy winner. And what a stud, dude! I mean, you know what I mean? That's the Outland Trophy guy is like that's like a dude. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, he was a monster. If you win the Outland Trophy, you're a bad motherfucker.
Yep.
Kimberly K. My girlfriends love Nebraska. Why is this funny? It is, but I mean, I'll laugh with you if you tell me what the joke is.
No, I think she's laughing at my story.
Oh, probably, yeah. Probably so.
Yeah.
That you know what, but Coach Roybal talks about that. Obviously he had met him at some point, right?
Yeah.
And I think it may have been during that time, but I don't know how much Coach Osborne was out there on the recruiting trail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how much he was.
Yeah.
But he met him once somewhere, and it was like for a minute. He said a hot minute. And then he met him at a Texas High School Coaches Association deal years later. He said same thing. He was like, he walked up and he was going to introduce himself again because it'd been so long. And he turned and goes, "Hey, Philip, how you doing?" And shakes his hand and stuff. He's like,
yeah.
The name tag thing wasn't it? But you know who else was like that?
Hopefully he didn't have a name tag on.
He didn't. But like, and Mac Brown, of course, it would probably pay to know Coach Roybal because of the fact that he was an officer in the Texas High School Coaches Association too. Plus, he was a pretty damn good coach. You know, he was sending guys. It makes sense, but you look at Coach Osborne, and you're like, shit, no. And he should have never remembered me. I was a nobody. And I didn't cover him ever. I mean, I talked to him for like 2 minutes one day.
Yeah.
It was a nothing thing. Mac Brown, similar, very similar. Coach Stoops was like that. He wasn't as gregarious as those two guys, though. You know what I mean? Like not as approachable. I like Coach Stoops. He was always real good to me too.
Yeah. So yeah, my son did play high school basketball. Yeah. So the JC Wichita Northwest game, man, JC jumped out to a lead real quick. They had 2 weather delays, right? For a lightning storm. And then after the second weather delay, you know, with just too many turnovers, they turned the ball, have a couple big runs where they fumbled and they got the ball back in a bad pick. So, I mean, but other than that, man, like it was a close game. Junction City's kind of getting in shootouts right now. And, you know, I don't know if that's going to bode well. But yeah, they played Lawrence the week before, and that was like a 60-something to 60s game. And, you know, another shootout again right here. They got to play a little bit of D and not turn the ball over. But no, we should have beat them. We 100% should have beat Northwest, but we gave them the ball back too many times.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there used to be a time that you had to do that. I've been to the Red River a few times. I've never had that issue really. I mean, fuck Texas, but we don't. Generally, you want to stay for the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little sketchy to go to the state fair anyways. You got to be on your head on a swivel. You ain't got time for that shit. If they made it into the game, they paid. Yeah, let's let it go.
Yeah.
And for the most part, unless you're at the 50, you really don't see them that much.
Yeah. Yeah, what I need to know, man, this is my first one. You know, what do I need to know?
Take an Uber.
Yeah.
Don't take your car.
Yeah. Well, I'm flying down, so I won't have a car. So that's one problem.
Well, that's not an issue. I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's not that bad. Just you hang around the area of the Cotton Bowl, you don't have to worry about it. Now, once you listen, where you would walk out if you were a car or anything there, it's sketchy, man. You can't. That's why they don't do night games for the Red River, because it's just pretty tough neighborhood. So,
gotcha.
You know,
Gotcha.
You need to be packing. And you can't pack going into the state fair. So, you know what I mean?
Nope.
It is what it is. No packing at the state fair.
Well, I usually, yeah. That's the usual. But you get on a plane, can't do that.
Can't really carry on the plane. So, yeah. So, yeah, you got to be. Yeah, it's just I don't see too many people going after you there, Big Mike. But no, it's still really cool though. It's a really fun atmosphere, the whole thing. You know, Josh Pate talks about it in terms of being able to walk out. Not everybody can do that. He can, because he's got media passes on the field and they can walk out of the tunnel and go right into the fair and get a funnel cake and all that. He's got cameras with him. Nobody's going to stop him from doing shit. But not everybody gets to do that. That's cool and all for him. But even, you get there early enough, you do some tailgating, you get to hang out. And even the Texas fans are mostly pretty cool. They really are. It's just, you just don't see a lot of that fighting stuff. Some of my best friends are Texas fans. I mean, most of them suck, but but no, it is what it is, It's fuck Texas.
The brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
It's fun though. It's fun.
Yeah,
don't be there at night. That's the thing. And I mean, if you've been to the state fair at all, any state fair, it's a lot of fun to be had. But yeah, you don't want to hang around at night, especially if you wouldn't want your car probably parked anywhere around there anyway. If you got to walk to it, no. Way not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're at the Red River when you're tossing down your first wax cup beer. Damn Skippy, man.
What the hell is that?
Like you remember the old cups that like a paper cup, but they got the wax.
Oh
inside?
yeah, for sure.
It'd be
That's
like
what they serve.
Or like yeah, man.
Oh, shit.
Little
Crazy.
different. They've got some great food though. The funnel cakes are insane. Love me some funnel cakes. Fat guys like funnel cakes, man. Found decent parking out there. Yeah, you guys may have a bigger problem because your crowd is larger, but still, we had a pretty good crowd to that PV versus. Oh yeah, I forgot you guys played it there at the Cotton Bowl that time. Was it during the daytime though, Kerwin? Was it during the daytime? Because I'm thinking it probably was. Neilio? Let's see. Went to the Red River as a kid with my pops. Sat there with my older brother and some guy named Troy Aikman. Throwing option toss to Patrick Collins for the winner. See, I wasn't there. Some guy, some cat. Yeah. And imagine, hey guys, just remember that. That was the one thing we were trying to finish this up and say this. Look, what happened this week is not the end of the world. In fact, I think it's probably the start of something better. Right?
Yep.
We're gonna see.
I'd agree.
I think it is. I remember Legend telling me about Troy Aikman when he got hurt in that game, that his mother cried about it. The whole state was devastated. And it turned into one of their best years ever. It's one of their natties. Because Jamel was that, and also a freshman, by the way.
Yeah, I remember Jamel Holloway.
Bro, Jamel Holloway is the reason I'm an Oklahoma fan. I mean, I was going to be an Oklahoma fan because we're from Oklahoma. My dad was an Oklahoma fan. We were watching it. Yeah. Jamel's the reason I started watching it. I was not even 10 yet. And I didn't miss a game in the 85 season. Yeah. Unbelievable stuff.
Yep.
But everybody they were different after that, right? They were different after that. Coach Smoot, what up, dog? Coming in to talk some more chit. I'll eat a funnel cake in your honor. Hey, man. Yeah. Hey, man. Hopefully I'll be there with you and we can have one together.
Close, man. That's close. Man.
Yeah. Tony Casillas' last name? You just butchered it? Talking Tony Casillas? Is that who you're saying? Tony Casillas was another dog. They talk about Boz a lot from that team. They had a nasty ass freaking defense. Yeah. And Tony Casillas was one of them. Who's that guy? Legend. Hey, you guys should definitely, y'all want to talk Red River in 85. Yeah, talk to Legend about that team, man. Legend he knows that stuff. He knows that stuff.
He's got it all. He's definitely the historian, the unofficial historian of Oklahoma football.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. He knows his shit, man. He knows his stuff. He's been struggling with this whole thing this weekend too. Hey, man, we all take it hard, but I don't think it's the end, man. I don't. They still have everything in front of them. Again, I think that what Venables did this week showed that he's not just a defensive coordinator masquerading as a head coach. You hear that a lot. Those are narratives that are stupid. But if anything should prove it to the regular world, the people outside of the program that don't know better, it should be this. That he's about this football team more than he's about one individual player. And he says that to those kids to recruit them, and he proved that this week. This is why they're recruiting as well as they are. And why you'll continue to get good quarterbacks, because they just want their chance to play. They want to know they're going to get their chance to play if they show out. If they're better. Now you can say that and everybody believes you because this is the position, and you took out a 5-star to put in a 3 or 4-star. Somebody asked me earlier if he was a 3 or 4-star. He was 3 in some, he was 4 in some. They were wrong.
Yeah.
They were wrong. He's better than
100%. Yep, wrong.
Oh, here we go, Smook. He's coming on every Monday, I believe. Every Monday. We're trying for it. You going on with Legend this afternoon?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mike
About 3.
and Mike in the afternoon.
Hashtag it.
Hashtag it. Mike and Mike. Make sure
Mike
you
and
guys
Mike on Mondays.
Mike and Mike on Mondays. Make sure you guys check that out this afternoon. We've been going over 3 hours now. We do that sometimes. There's a lot to talk about. Smook. Now, see, you don't even know what you're talking. The defensive trenches looked really good. The offensive line didn't look great. There's some issues there right now, but they're not overly. I don't think it's something that you can't get through.
Yeah.
Better watch more film.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to play that Oklahoma team later in the year, bro.
Yeah.
It might be the same team you see right now. Reminds me of Bryce Young with worse field vision.
Who? You talking about Hawkins?
Yeah, I think he's better than Bryce Young, athletically speaking. Period.
Mike Hawkins ain't little. Mike Hawkins is about 6'1", 6'2", easy.
And he'll eat.
Yeah.
Bro, have you seen his pops too? He still looks like he could be in the league.
Oh, yeah. His dad's a real one. I like
him. Stud, man.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, he didn't even stay at Oklahoma very long and still ended up in the league. And like, he was a stud. I want to do more on that stuff. They've got depth too, bro. He got depth too. We'll talk more about it later. Get a hold of me and we can talk more. Yeah, I hear all that. I've heard all that stuff, bro. I've heard all that stuff before. We're not worried about that. There's depth there. You think Coach Venables don't know what that is? That word is a drinking game for Oklahoma podcasts. You say competitive depth, we take a drink every time.
I'm all out, but I'm gonna see if I can
all
get
out
good.
too. I am too. It's time to roll.
I did have drinking Saturday.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. It maybe so. I think Bryce was good, but they're just different players. Bryce is really good. Yeah,
Bryce could really sling it.
Shit, he won the Heisman. I'm not saying anything bad.
He could really throw it. Bryce really throw it.
Dude, he could really go. He could go straight up. But so can Michael Hawkins. I think he's completely underrated, though. That's the whole point. He's completely underrated.
Yeah.
Wasn't a huge camp guy. It is what it is. But everybody's going to get to know him soon. Everybody's going to get to know him soon. And what Brent Venables did was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do. It was the only thing to do.
I think it was easy, man. Like I said earlier, it was right, but it was easy. It was an easy decision.
Yeah.
It was an easy decision.
Yeah, because and why? For the same reason we just said. You can say he's a 5-star. We have this affinity for 5-star guys. Right? The bottom line is that we love these 5-star guys, but this is a guy that was a 3 or 4-star that could have been a 5-star easily. But 55 touchdowns and 3 turnovers as a senior to take a brand new program, and politics definitely plays something into that. It's definitely something I want to get into. If you see his pops, I had a little conversation with him on Twitter. I think he took something that was on the show said the wrong way a little bit. Put in a word for me. I'd love to have him on the show and talk, or even not on the show and talk, and we'll write about it. I don't care. I have my column coming out later to kind of talk more about what we were talking about. So it is what it is. I would just say I'd love to have a chat with him and talk about a lot of the things that have gone on in the way that his son has battled through that adversity, because he wasn't given. He played at Allen and got screwed at Allen. and they assumed that he wasn't any better. And you take a Frisco Emerson team that there's no way. I'm not saying anything bad about their staff or anything like that. Or it's a brand new school. There's no way you should get that far. They don't get that far without Michael Hawkins and Malik.
Playmaker, making plays.
Bro, 55 to 3. 55 total touchdowns. He had 3 turnovers as a senior.
Yep.
That's ungodly.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And he's not just a runner. But we're going to find all that out. We will be back out here tomorrow night for I'll be back tomorrow night for Hall of Fame college football with Jason and the coach, 8:30 Eastern time, right here on Hall of Fame college football. We will also be back Wednesday morning for more Rise and Shine college football. I am working on the whole deal for I will get a hold of Kimberly. Thank you for bringing that up. I will get a hold of Barry and Mac and see if we can't get those guys on here for that one as well. Got some more stuff coming up for you guys. Excited about the week that we just went through. I know it was a tough weekend. You don't never love losses, but I think we found some things out, and I think things are going to turn. Turning points, they happen. They happen. So appreciate you jumping on with us again, Big Mike.
Yeah, man. No problem, man. I have fun, man.
You on Twitter because that's where you are. You don't have your own show, but definitely got to go and check out him and on the Mike and Mike on Monday show this afternoon. What time is that one at?
Yeah, B3. Yeah. 3 o'clock.
3 Central. 3 Central,
Yep, 3
4 Eastern, 3 Central time. So, yeah, make sure you guys go check that out. It's at Sooner Legends Podcast. That's at Sooner Legends Podcast. And if you're not already subscribed to Sooner Legends Podcast, get over there and subscribe to him. Let's get him to 1,000.
Trying to get him to 5 right now. 5's the goal. 5's is the near-term goal.
Yeah, so you can at least take super chats and stuff like that and get a little bit into the other stuff. Got to get the guy to 1,000 to get him fully monetized. Let's get him there. It's time to do that.
Yeah, he's got a great channel, man. He's got some great stuff. And I'm learning a lot from him because I haven't been a lifelong. I know about Oklahoma, but I'm not like in the weeds. And there's some good stuff right there. And
I'm not in the weeds like that dude is. Not even.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's got it, man. He's impressive.
He is, man. He's fun. When you want to know something, and like Hank is similar. We've got guys on this channel that are similar, right? Yeah. But he'll tell you stories about stuff that you had no clue about, right? I got to meet Papa Stutz earlier this week. Danny's dad at the game. That was great. He knew who I was. I went to introduce myself. He goes, "I know who you are, man. You're HOF guy, right, Jason?" I was like, nice.
Yeah. So we made a good time, man. Papa Stutz is a good time.
He's fun, man. He is a trip, and his tailgate was freaking cool. His tailgate was freaking cool. Yeah. Say hi, Norman. Hop up here. Come on, Norman. Here's old Norman. Get up here.
You want that mic?
He's a monster. Yeah, he wants to eat the mic, guaranteed. Good seeing all you guys as well. Thanks a lot, everybody, for coming in. I will take a 200-pound Ken Houston at center if you could in front of you at PV. Oh, there he is. There's old Normie. All right, guys. The 150-pound dog is too much. He's a big old
head on him.
Yeah, he's big old dopey dog too. Get down, Norm. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for coming in, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. We've had over 1,500 people watching this thing already. We should have at minimum 10%, but man, we need to do better than 10%, to be honest with you. Hit the like button, man. It's free and it supports the channel. Help us out. Appreciate everybody again. We'll see you all on the next one. Oh.